Welcome to the recap of week number 2 for the Rainbow Six Siege ESL Premiership. In our first match of the day, we had Vexed take on Epsilon, and Vexed were fired up from the start. We saw some great rotates from Feral, with Pi bagging numerous 3Ks and 4Ks to finish off Epsilon 7-3.
Fine with the SMG-11, another kill for the smoke, and Vexed extend their lead.
In our second match of the day, we had Wind and Rain take on Unnamed. Wind and Rain were extremely close towards closing out the match at 6-2, but Unnamed managed to reset their mentality and claw their way back to tie the match 6-6. In our third game, we had Team Secret take on FlyLo. This was the David versus Goliath matchup, which we knew FlyLo would struggle with. FlyLo played a lot more methodical this time round, taking a couple rounds off Secret. Sadly, even though we saw improvement, it wasn't enough to topple the Titans, as Secret closed out the match 7-2.
On to Allison Tyler. Another one for him as well. 1 versus 4. Down to Joker. What can the Capitao do? Not a lot. He managed to find one, but impactless kill.
In our final match of the day, we saw Eminem Gaming take on Who Knows. Eminem continued their path of destruction, dropping only 1 round, and Doki secured more 3Ks and 4Ks than I can count, finishing the match 7-1.
All he has to do is go for the peak, and he will find it. Doki coming up big once again for Eminem.
Start your esports career now at play.eslgaming.com.
Think she can't get a last-second clutch? Watch this. Think he can't carry his team while streaming in high resolution? All the while recording a once-in-a-lifetime win? Watch this. Think leveling up only happens in-game? Watch this. On Intel Core i7, they'll rise to every challenge. Now it's your turn. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7.
Hello everyone to the pre-show of the Rainbow Six Siege ESL Premiership powered by Intel. I'm Lethal and I'm joined by 2 different faces this time. I am joined by Panky and Zoot. So fellas, how's things?
Feeling pretty good. Glad to be back on the Prem desk. Thanks for having me.
I am really delighted to be here. I've been grinding a little bit on the Go Fours and the Challenger League qualifiers. I'm really happy to be invited here to the ESL studios to get involved in the Prem. Yeah,
that's right. You've been on the grind, of course, recently, the last few months, and Panky, I think you hosted last season as well.
I've been around the block a little bit, yeah, here and there.
He's been around a fair bit.
I'm in the shadow of royalty at the moment, so a little bit nervous.
But of course, we do have last week's results. If you weren't here to actually catch up from the matches before, as you can see from that first match, we saw Vexed take on Epsilon. Vexed managed to take that 7-3. Unnamed and Wind and Rain, as mentioned before in those plays earlier, managed to tie things up 6-all after a very nice comeback. Secret managed to take FlyLo down 7-2. And Eminem managed to finish things up and taken on Who Knows 7-1. So far, Eminem have only dropped 1 round over the past 2 weeks, but I'm sure this week it's going to be extremely different. But from those results, are you too surprised at all?
I don't think there's anything in there that's, you know, crazy unexpected or crazy different. You look at the teams that grandfathered in from last season, you look at the teams that are, you know, the favourites to go the whole way in this one in Secret and Eminem, and their records kind of match that. I would say that the only, if I had to pick a surprising fact, was how one-sided Group A has been so far. I'd like to see that, Who Knows, FlyLo might have had a few more rounds in contention, but you know, it's still the early half of the season.
Wind and Rain have been doing a pretty good job lately as well. I'm happy with what they've done. It would be great if they could get themselves a second win this week round, because I know that they're really training hard for these matches, and they've got a great support network for them. I just like seeing upsets, and I liked what I saw in their game versus Vexed, so if we can get more of that, it's a great storyline. Well,
Wind and Rain caused an upset in that first week, and Unnamed managed to actually tie things up, so it's made Group B a little bit sceptical of what could happen. But speaking on the groups, we do have the results so far of what we've seen from each group. So Group A, it's very predictable to say the least. Eminem Gaming do have that top spot by 4-round difference compared to Team Secret, who's falling behind in second. And Who Knows and FlyLo, bit opposite end of the spectrum here, but the only difference is that 2-round difference separating both teams. And this is where it's going to be, you know, how to pay for it. It's going to be extremely crucial this week. It's going to be a slobber knocker matches throughout the whole event in itself. But we do have Group B a little bit more of a mess and less predictable than we predicted, with Wind and Rain currently in first place, with Vexed and Epsilon almost time for second, and Unnamed, even though they are in the bottom position, they did get that 1 point, scraping it through in their last game. Your thoughts on the groups so far?
As Zoo said, Wind and Rain are here as a bit of a dark horse, right? They grabbed that first win out of the gate against Vexed. Now, Wind and Rain obviously were in last season with a very different roster and a not so great run themselves, but they've come out of the gate swinging here against Vexed, who were here, again, slightly different roster on their part, but were here and grandfathered in from last season. And getting that early win under the belt has got to feel good for them and their fan base, and obviously everyone watching. And then to draw against Unnamed. Unnamed, admittedly, have a different roster from last week to this week, so that could all mix their first game up again too. But like, for an opening 2 weeks for Wind and Rain, I don't think they could have really asked for better. And if they can use that as a platform to leapfrog themselves and push themselves into the second half of this season, they're definitely a team to watch.
Yeah, I think really the topic is roster changes. Again, we keep hearing about it.
We can't not talk about it.
And the thing is, sometimes it can really work out for a team, and you can have that sort of dream start. Someone joins the team, and you have some amazing first matches, and it's a match made in heaven, essentially. But then it also makes me quite anxious at the same time, because you need to go through that grinding phase with that teammate. You need to integrate them into the team somehow. And when you're looking for results early on, it can be a little bit risky. So I'm very much two sides about it.
Yeah, there's two sides to the coin on that. Either if someone makes a lineup change, they could go through a very nice honeymoon period, or it could be the complete other way around. We've seen this time and time again in these matches, but we'll have to hope for the best, especially this week, that it is going to be that honeymoon period, of course.
I'm sure we'll talk about it a lot.
Oh, yeah, we will. There's so many, like, obviously lineup changes which have been recently, and it'd be nice to see exactly who comes out on top throughout the entire day. So we do have the top plays as well, which we did have from last week, but which you at home voted for, and here it is.
Shermy, pretty low health at this point after that little exchange with Pi. Pi is going to make a run out, and Pi's going to pick up a double kill. That's going to swing heavily in Vex's favour. Dumpling going to be doing his best up against Capcan Pi as well. Pi with another Pi picking up a 4K that round. Really clutching out the round and winning it for Vexed. Great game there for Pi. Ultimately, Unnamed have got a lot of work to do, as it seems they've not really got all too much map control at the minute. Hayes is going to get his head blown off by Kendrew. Nice wallbang there from Kendrew with Ash. Doki-san there, very well placed to start getting some downs, and he is going to convert one with the use of an impact grenade. Nello, of course, picking up a kill, as well as Doki. He's going to choose to rotate back down. He knows now there's people on main stairs, and he's going to come up and grab the kill onto Tyrant. We've now got Ace making his way over into off. He's going to get caught with a goo mine from Doki in his foot and gets killed as he's trying to grab it out. Last alive is going to be No Thumbs. He's got a lot of work to do as the Thermite. There's still Yokai drones in place. Doki's going to find the final one. Someone please stop this man. He's going off every single round. And that's another one on the board for M&M Gaming. Citizen now is going to be able to come in and pick up a kill onto Nathan, and he's looking for the next kill over onto Bathroom Tellers, but he can't quite find it just yet. Goo mine there is going to go off. That's going to be the perfect indication, and yes, he is going to pick up that kill. That's how big the Goo mines are. Will Citizen get the third? No, he doesn't quite manage to find the kill onto Ghost. He is going to go chasing for it though, as Ghost jumps over the barricade, and Citizen with the final kill of the round. Beautiful 3K.
And those were the players from last week, and the votes are in. And I think, to say the least, Pi's 4K was definitely something to talk about in a 2v5 scenario. Made some great roaming plays, some great rotates, and you know what it's like in those 2v5 scenarios. It's extremely difficult to kind of not just hold the site, but at least try and make a play like that. But would you guys agree that Pi's 4K was the top play for this week?
Oh, without a doubt. As you say, it's a 2v5 situation in that spot, especially in a game like Siege, when you've got operators with different gadgets and different abilities bearing down it. You can't just sit back and hope they line up for you. You've got to take it to them. You've got to be aggressive. You've got to try and actively try and level out those numbers and even the playing field, and he did that well. He did that smart, and needless to say, there's probably some input from his teammates and the cameras and the the information gathering that's left in for dead players on Siege, but to then use that information as he did and as well as he did to swing the round back for his team, fantastic play.
There's also always a soft spot in my heart for little run-outs on border, no matter really what the situation is. So no, I really like Pi Dead. It's super impactful, proactive play. I feel like Doki, he had brilliant plays as well, but is also led by some more obvious mistakes from the side of who knows. So yeah, it's by far and away.
Yeah, Doki's play it's impressive to pick up those 4 kills, but as you watch the clip back, not one of those players was looking at him. It was a well-timed flank, and that is credit to him, but ultimately it comes back to who knows his mistakes for not watching those flanks and not calling out after that first kill went down where he may be coming from next.
Yeah, there's a massive difference between like a 4K where it's a very well executed methodical play and another one where, I wouldn't say to walk into the crosshair, but you know, there's a lot of situations where you felt like it was easy pickings for those kind of teammates. But, you know, Doki and Citizen, it's the 2nd week in a row they have actually appeared in the top players, which is fantastic stuff. Both of them have got such strong fragging ability, but with Pi here, of course, getting that 4K, not too many surprises, as you mentioned before.
Yeah, no, it was an impressive play. Credit to his team for giving the information, credit to him for acting on the information, and yeah, they were rewarded with the round for it, and yeah, well deserved. Yeah, not too much surprise in all fairness. But we do have the schedule for this week for you guys, and I'm telling you now, this is one of the weeks I've been looking forward to, even before the show started. First one up, of course, Vexed versus Unnamed. Then the second one will be Wind and Rain versus Epsilon. The third one with Who Knows versus FlyLo. Very excited to see that one because it's battle for the 3rd place playoff. And of course, the match to watch. The favourite one for everyone, not just here, but the fans at home, to see exactly what's going to happen. We've been waiting this before the show, like I mentioned before. But this is going to be one to watch. This is going to be a slobber knocker, to say the least.
Yeah, no, it's going to be absolutely insane. I'm really, really looking forward to that. But honestly, I don't want to be that person who says every game is going to be amazing, but you were pointing out earlier when we were having a chat, is that point in the stages where you've got the obvious contenders versus each other who won their games or lost their games or come close in between. So every single one of the games is going to be incredibly important. And really, I think finishing on Secret versus Eminem is going to be awesome.
Yeah, as you said, Lethal, before the season began, we could look at the schedule and go, this week's going to be big, Secret Eminem, that alone is there. But now that we've had a couple of weeks, now that the standings are starting to settle in, the other 3 games have even more meaning on them too, with Vexed and Unnamed again being the grandfather of 2 teams, and also not having the best of starts themselves. Wind and Rain coming out as that dark horse with the potential here to extend their league at Epsilon. Still not written off. They can perform an upset here. They could still be that hurdle Wind and Rain need. Who Knows in FlyLo, yes, they're struggling in the bottom of their group, but they're both having an equally tough time and could really break their streaks and do something fantastic here. And then Secret Eminem in the end. And yeah, okay, Season 1, everyone would have written that. Secret easy to win, and they're going to walk through this. And yeah, you know, it'll be tighter than some of the other games, but still, it's a Secret win. This season, not sure that's so easy to call. Eminem are looking great. They have just added Kendrew to their roster this week. For the first time, we're going to see that come out. Secret don't have a fully stable, fully locked in roster at the moment, so they're going to be trying some different things and trying new people. And are they going to be as strong as before? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's like with previous weeks, it was quite easy to go, oh yeah, this one or this one. But this time round, every match should go to the wire. It's very hard to choose one. But we know with our Eminem and Secret rosters, of course, with that match, it's so hard to say it's not the best one to watch, which is why we save, you know, we say the best till last, of course, because it'd be weird not to. We could make it first, but then who would do that?
We just play it 4 times.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Why not? You know, don't get me wrong. I think you, of course, everyone at home would love to see that. But of course, we do have the first roster to show you here. So Panky, if you want to take me through the Vex roster here.
This is your Vex roster then with Feral, Zach, Jesus, Dumpling, and Pi, of course, from our Player of the Week last week, rounding it out. It is a strong roster. It is a lot of very, I say, famous faces, especially across UK Siege, and very experienced names to the roster as well. So yeah, to see how they pick themselves up and see how they bring themselves out this week, it's something that I'm going to be watching very closely.
Yeah, we saw Feral do a great job roaming when on the defensive side. We've seen Pi, of course, with that 4K. Not just those 4Ks, but he's had numerous rounds where he really upset the mark and really make those clutch plays. But of course, the other roster, Zoot, if you want to take us through Unnamed.
Yeah, let's have a go. Have a look. We got Cactus, Tank Ninjas, we got Yaga, we got Snookun and Meads. And interesting, Tank Ninjas has been kind of going around the block a little bit lately. He was standing in with Eminem for some Challenger League qualifier games, I think, last week. So he's with Unnamed now. I'm very, very curious to see how they're going to go up against the Vexed, but
Well, as you say, so Tank Ninjas 1 has been around a couple of rosters before. He was unnamed last season. He tried a bit for M&M during the Challenge League qualifiers. And last week, unnamed were running Kendrick. Kendrick is now officially on M&M and is going to be playing with there later. So they just swapped around a little bit, and I'm sure some of the other players probably had a little whisper back and forth or a thought about trying in with M&M too. Like it's a hot roster to be on in UK Siege and in Siege as a whole right now, with M&M looking very good towards potential Challenger League or Pro League spots in the future. So when they have that space in the roster, when Prox gets removed, everyone's going to be looking there. And when you're on a roster like Unnamed, who themselves will brag about and did brag about through the last playoffs, that they're not the most serious of rosters. They don't train too often as a group. They will consider themselves more of a mixed team, just here to have fun. They're a very good one to be where they are in the Prem, but having fun. If any of those players are looking for something a little bit more structured, a little bit more serious, they'd be silly not to look at that M&M spot. So yeah, okay. Tank's one that we were specifically seeing play with them in Challenge League qualifiers, but I'm sure the others had an idea and a think about it.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. Of course, with Vexed, they're very strong to adapt in a lot of these matches as well, which makes them such a strong opponent. But speaking of opponents as well, we do have the map picks and bans to see exactly what's going on. So Constant's going to be actually the chosen choice here. Would you agree that that's a good map for Vex coming through, or do you reckon it's more in favour of Unnamed?
I don't want to say which team this is more in favour of, because it's a map which very heavily rewards a coordinated team and a structured strategy. Now, both of these teams have players that are famous for and have shown in the past an ability to step out of these structured strategies, to step out of these solidified plays and go big solo. Consulate is not a map which really lets you do that too much, so whether or not they have a chance to actually expand on that and show us some of that this week, or if it's going to come down to having to stay more disciplined, we'll have to wait and see how they start to play.
But what I was going to say beforehand, anyway, we're going to get straight into this match. Through the ban phase, it's Vexed versus Unnamed. First match of the day. Guys, take it away.
Thanks very much, Lethal. We are going to be jumping into the bans right now. We've already seen Vex getting rid of Glaz. Next is going to be Ying coming out to see really if it's going to be normal procedure. I'm personally expecting it to be the sort of Echo, Mirror, Maestro type thing. Are you expecting anything different?
Yeah, no, you're right. So far we're looking at a very standard list of bans. Glaz and Ying taken out of the picture with very complementary operators to one another, in all fairness. Echo gone as well then on that third one. The amount of control that he provides and the strength of ACOGs on this map specifically as well are very, very powerful, and with his gadgets there too. Wouldn't be surprised if this is, I was going to say, Maestro, because he does a similar job and is there and is also on a lot of people's lips right now. But Mira, slightly surprising, just because I'm trying to find something to pull out of this ban phase, is that she's only really influential to the basement site on here and the lobby. Okay. She's not as hugely... So there are some maps where Mirror is fantastic on every site, everywhere, take her out of the picture no matter what. Consulate is one that I wouldn't consider to be as strong across the board, but if you know what your opponent's going to do, and know you want to be doing, and know that she causes problems for that, she's a great ban no matter what.
Fair enough. Well, it looks like we are going to be heading down to the basement first, to Caf and Garage. We have Maestro at the beginning. Obviously, we're moving into 6-pick for now, but progress as normal with these operator lineups.
We might see a Blackbeard 6-picked away if there is any hint to the attacking team that they're going to go towards the basement. He is a fantastic operator and he is great at attacking the upper floors because of the amount of window play that you do on this map. But that's not to say he's useless in the basement, and they haven't moved it out. They're going to stick with it, and they'll find a use for him. But no, as you're right, everything else here is very safe, very standard. They've gone for the Thermite and Thatcher combo, getting that garage door open. Again, it's traditional, it's old school, it's very safe and very easy. It doesn't take too much to shift potential bandits away from the wall, take away the EMPs and work your way in. You don't have to do any funky stuff with juggling tricks or any grenade plays or anything out of the ordinary, and you can get themselves going. Tank Ninjas on the Capitao is an operator that fell out of play and fell out of favor with a lot of teams for a while, but has always had a very strong gadget, and I'm interested to see where it is they choose to use that.
Oh, well, we've got a couple of the guys holding upstairs. I was wondering if they were going to be checking out press room a little bit in case we can see some bandit tricking if they want to protect that garage area. However, we can see some attacks coming kind of Visa and admin side. We can see how the early scouting goes along. You know what, I'm just really delighted that I'm casting at the moment and I'm not observing. So shout out here to the guys in the studio and our wonderful observer. There we go.
Alex doing a fantastic job as always.
And here we're presumably the Thatcher Thermite going to be moving up to the garage. And Zach, this is where he's going to be earning his paycheck at the moment, but nothing to be stopped. The hole is blasted wide open.
He did actually get the second charge, so it is particularly common and standard for Thermites to do what Meads just did. You blow the wall on the right-hand side, by the way, Van, and immediately switch to the left, because it's rare, and this is why, for the Bandit to go for that second stop, because when you are trying to stop that second one, you get pinned in that corner, you're stuck. If you do it on the right side, you can front back by the white Van and get out safely. Pi, stepping up, quickly picks up 2. But as it is, yes, he stops that right wall getting breached open. Bandit does get that second charge, but then quickly loses his life for it.
Well, we are getting a few exchanges at the moment already, with still half the time left on the clock. They did manage to equalize it. Vexed had a narrow lead for a second. Jesus. He's going to be floating nearby, trying to hold on yellow stairs, anyone pushing by towards the van. However, walls may be starting to close in on them soon. Blackbeard. Have a little prod around, I went in security room, did a little death hole to check out, but no immediate stresses. However, there are people in press room, and they can really start making life difficult for those guys down in the basement.
Yeah, and they do start to pressure down the stairs with Tank Ninjas. He can hear and suspect someone close. They droned it a couple of times, but didn't get a whole lot of information from it. They know smoke is behind the white van. That is about it. And they do know there's someone here by the pipes. And with the holes being made in the floor above him, it forces us up towards Tank Ninjas, who was ready for him to shut him down and take the Jaeger off the table, and leaving just 2 defenders up now against the 3 remaining attackers and 45 seconds.
Well, not some bad defenders to have remaining. That smoke still could be very important with time ticking down. He's got all 3 gas grenades left, so getting rid of Feral is going to be of pivotal importance. Still holding my van. Player still approaching by the car. He's got so many angles to watch at the moment. It's pretty terrifying for him. But one spotted up at the top, he's going to move away. He just knows he needs to save his life, and then maybe start getting those gas grenades out in the next 5 seconds. But Yugger is going to be able to take him down. And it is, well, immediately Dumpling taken down by Tank Ninjas. So great success there for Unnamed.
I'd like to see Smoke Feral there use those smoke grenades a little bit sooner. Once we hit that 45-second point, he knew Tank Ninjas was on the stairs. Start putting him out then. Yes, okay, you know, 30 seconds worth of denial of smokes, 45 seconds on the clock. There's going to be a 15-second window left. But if he doesn't do anything in that 30 seconds waiting for that, you've at least taken him out of the picture and taken that point of contention off the board. You don't have to worry about those stairs while the smokes are there. Then he can focus more on dealing with the guy on the floor above him, running away from that spot, or focusing on the guy out the garage, which he suspected and was right. There was a man coming in that way. But as it is, yeah, he spent that last 30, 45 seconds running around, hiding from the holes in the floor above him, getting nothing done.
It's a shame to go down having still most of your utility left on you. Yeah. No, I didn't dislike his movement at all. He was being pretty evasive, but you're absolutely right. With that much time left on the clock, but not much, get those gas grenades down. Close off some points.
Zach switched off of the Bandit here onto a Valkyrie now. Now, Valkyrie can be very strong and considered because of the amount of vision and information you can get from outside cameras, and if used well, how much that damage can be done. But there's no IQ in the attack, which I think they probably suspected, because that's not operated Unnamed ran before. And if they don't find these cameras naturally, they could well be lost for the entirety of the round. However, it does mean they're sacrificing and open to having the entire garage wall open no matter what. Meanwhile, they've also switched off of the smoke onto Vigil. Now, if they manage to keep him hidden with this aggressive run out...
Okay, here we go.
No,
just checking it
from it.
Yeah, no, nothing eventually happens, but they're trying to be a little bit more proactive on the defense. Well,
I think it might have been droned, because to be fair, we had 2 attackers spawn that side of the map last round, and that would have potentially been both of them dead from that result. Oh, Blackbeard was right on that window.
Oh, almost going to find an angle just there, just pixels away. On the reload, though, might get re-peaked. Tremendously close. Cactus is going to keep his life. Loses a small chunk of health, but nothing too much to write home about.
He lost an entire shield though, and that could actually be quite a big thing for this early in the round. But he also now, more importantly here for Valkyrie, got her. Valkyrie has Blackbeard's attention, so he's going to be sitting here paying more attention to this top, but wasting a little bit more time now up here rather than pressuring the site.
Oh, we've got Pi just roaming down near service. Not going to find anything too much going on, but we have a flurry of kills. Zach going to get the 1 pick off to trade on Snooken, but still we have Unnamed in the lead. They won on Garage last round. Oh, Zach, who does manage to get the knock onto Meads. That's an important one, and Evil Eye there, just going to finish the job off, thank you.
That's good, that is big. Pi down again to Tank Ninjas. I don't really like how Pi is playing right now. He's being very aggressive on Elysian, who gets stronger as the round goes on, and he's dying early.
Oh, and really straightforward headshot at the end, but nicely executed. Unnamed, looking good in the first 2 rounds. Is this where you start to look for maybe a site switch of some sort?
I'd like to look for a little bit more discipline from Vexed. Unnamed are getting a lot of these kills early from killing roamers, from killing people that are running around or peeking aggressively. Zach, okay, he got away with killing Snooken, but first of all, Snooken had already done his job. The garage wall was open, his claymore was probably placed, Thatcher is now off the board. Killing him is not that important. He goes for the thermite secondly. Again, gets him, but he'd also done his job already and taken away. Yeah, finished him with the cameras, but Zach lost his life for it. Yes, 2 kills, 2 picks is nice, but you can't be sure you're going to get those. They were always going to be a gamble, and okay, they worked last round, but not necessarily going to work for a second round in a row. Other players were doing similar things upstairs, those roamers running around trying to get these aggressive peaks, and they were just straight dying to it. And as a result, Unnamed are coming into attacking the basement with a huge man advantage and loads of time on the clock. And it doesn't matter what the guys on site are left trying to do, they're just swarmed from all angles. As I said before, this map is something that rewards disciplined play in terms of the defense because of how many crossfires and how many multiple angles can be locked down and secured off by the attackers. And you're just at the moment Vexed running into those angles and just handing them up. I like that they switched upstairs. It might change things different, but I need to see what their strategy is to play this.
Is it worth speculating now? I don't want to jump to conclusions. Vexed, obviously highly rated in the Prem. Unnamed, solid team, absolutely. But do you think maybe there is a bit of underestimating going on?
No, I don't think it's so much of underestimating Unnamed on Vexed part. I think it's more of Vexed overestimating themselves.
Interesting.
Like,
okay.
They're not doing anything here that I don't think they would do against Secret. They wouldn't do against M&M or they wouldn't do against FlyLo. Things like these aggressive peaks. Yeah, okay, Pi's taking down Snooken, but again, Thatcher's off the table, you're upstairs, he's not as big of a deal, and now you're dead off the board. It's back to 4-4, and neither of you are going to be any effective in the round. It's a nice start, okay, aggressively small peak, grab 1 kill, it's a nice idea, but what does that actually give you in the grand scheme of the round? Now, not a whole lot. These are things that you could try against other teams, and yeah, if they don't punish you, that'd be great. But when the teams do punish you, which is what Unnamed have been doing in previous rounds, you actually come out worse off for it because the attacker bias. But, saying all of that, it does work out nicely as Feral managed to pick off Thermite quick for no response. And this is the first time Vexed have had one of those peaks, had one of those picks actually work without a reply here from Unnamed, and now they have an advantage.
Yeah, exactly, one of the first advantages they've had straight up. But we do still have Bart Capitao and Blackbeard live. There's going to be Yoga just getting rid of some of the cameras. Maybe we'll struggle a bit more with the bulletproof one. But has eyes there on Connector, looking over at long desk, but not going to find anyone immediately. There's a shot, it's going to be able to land the headshot, making it a 3 for 3. Very nicely done by Yoga.
Yeah, a little bit of unfortunate timing for Zach, but Feral then immediately answered it by coming up the yellow stairs. A little bit of a misplay by Unnamed to allow him to do that, but Tank is there to answer with a kill onto Jesus at some point. Dumpling tries to move into Connector, but he's being watched from the bathroom wall. Here's the plant going down, sees it with that quick punch to the wall and manages to stop it, but he is now 2v1 with just Cactus in the bathroom on his own. He does find him with a wall bang, and now it's all onto Feral, who didn't seem to know exactly where Cactus was. He was using his heartbeat sensor actually out towards the yellow stairs until that kill went through. So now it's a 1v1. Cactus knows he was roughly somewhere in this yellow stair area because he heard him earlier on and he lost a teammate to it. Now they know there's a pulse on the board because he's trying to plant on the desk. The drone goes out, but Feral's timing on that peak was perfect and Cactus caught standing on the table with his drone.
But, I mean, surely you don't want to be standing on the table when you're droning.
You have to be. You know Pulse is on the map and you know he's the last man left. So he's still holding his C4, so you don't want to risk him C4ing it from below. The small mistake, I think, is that the C4 had already been used. Someone's had. There was a big-ass hole in the floor underneath that desk there, and Blackbeard was still stood on top of it. If that was Pulse's C4, which I couldn't catch from the overlay spectating, then yes, you don't want to be standing on the desk. But if you think that Pulse still has that C4 in play, the desk is the safest spot at that point. You just have to be looking in the right direction when he finally sticks his head around the corner.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, between a rock and a hard place at that point in terms of what the right play is, but he just was desperate for information. He had so much time left on the board as well, so it felt like it was going to be a good idea. But it doesn't work out. Vexed get their first round on the board. We are going to be going back downstairs and see if they can get some success. Third time the charm, I think, some phrase like that. Someone said.
Yeah, someone important. We saw there, like, what worked for Vexed defense in the last round. Pulse holding an angle on those yellow stairs. He stayed still, he waited for them to walk in, just cross there, he picked up a kill. Then he moved away somewhere safe. That's what we need to see from these roamers on defense. We don't want them to be running around looking lunatic, trying to spray windows as they run past, trying to keep them on their feet, because as I mentioned, there's so many crossfire angles, so many different windows that cover so much of the top floor that you'll just sprint straight into someone else's crosshair, even if you don't die to the guy you're directly shooting at. You need to hold firm, set up some crossfires of your own, get yourself into safer positions, and wait for those attackers to walk into your crosshairs. Make them come to you. First of all, that burns more time on the clock. Second of all, it sets you up for a more favourable fight when they come. What they weren't doing those first few rounds was that. They were running into the attackers. They were doing it fast, they were doing it early in the round, and they weren't winning them. That, as a result, gave Unnamed a man advantage, a huge advantage, which snowballed in towards the end of the round. Feral starting to be a bit more static. Pi as well, down towards the basement now, and I'd like to think the Vexed are slowing their pace a bit, but still a lot of more movement around some ends of the map.
Well, that love affair with Pulse continuing after that recent success. Feral's going to get lots of juicy information there as to what's going on in admin, as they're just, well, Unnamed is just going to be patrolling the top part of the map, clear it from top to bottom as they make their way to the objective. First minute going pretty fine. Most of it up here. You can see Jesus is up by private bathroom. You find just clicks away. And you got to feel Drago, the timing on that, it feels bad.
Yeah, Yogo was very unlucky to not get that kill in all fairness. And the movement from Jesus didn't really make a lot of sense, the way he was crouching up there, pushing in, locking himself in a bathroom, then realizing that was a mistake and obviously trying to get out of there quickly. He could have just held the doorway here in yellow stairs and been okay, and that's exactly what Zach did, and then he's rewarded with a kill for free and a second as he aggressively peeks up into Tank Ninjas.
This is more like it. This is more what I wanted to see from Vexed. We're starting to see the flare come out a little bit more, and now if they've got that man advantage, they can hold those angles with a lot more confidence. We have got the garage fully open wide, minute and a half left on the clock. How do you think this is looking at the moment for Unnamed?
Not great. They've got the garage door open. They've got this hole on yellow stairs a little bit, but Zach now can hear that flame wall go down. He did lose his crosshairs to the EMP, and as a result can't quite finish this Thatcher off, but does a lot more damage than Snooken does. Meath gets the first kill to answer any of them as the plant starts to go down, but the aggressive peek comes out from Zach, and he easily cleans up the two men outside the garage door.
Yeah, lovely 4K from Zach then, I believe.
I think, yeah, it made him in.
Yeah, got the two right at the start, and then closes off a couple at the end. Oh, I love that angle as well. Down from press room into garage. And it looks like we are going to be able to get things tied up a bit as, well, I've been hearing that all maps are defender-sided, and Vex now showing us that they can at least get on with that balance.
Yeah, they just didn't die as much fast early on. They stayed a little bit alive longer. The attackers, once they thought they had full control of that top floor, which technically they did, got a bit overconfident and started to sprint around a little bit themselves, run straight into Zach for that quick 2-kill, and that really set them up nicely. Then, yeah, the only remaining unnamed players were all in very predictable outside the garage door positions, outside the yellow stairs door positions, and from there Vex could collapse in down on them and use the holes in the floor from piano and shoot down through, like have full access to their own bomb site again. Whereas before, obviously, the tables were turned and the attacking team had full control.
Well, they did get rid of the pulse on this occasion, however, we do see that 6-pick into IQ. That could have also been an anticipation of a pulse 6-pick, but it's either way going to be very good going against Zach on the Valkyrie. You know, there's plenty of things that IQ can be contributing well to, but we are going to main and press hold on this occasion.
So they are very aware that this is a lobby hold bomb site here for Vex, because they've obviously successfully defended the other two sites. They're locked in, so our name know exactly where they're going. As a result, we've got very different attacking lineups. The Jackal being brought in is an important one here because of where and how this middle floor is located. There's a lot of different rotate options for the Rovers, whether they be above or they be below, but you can track them very easily with the footsteps because you come in from one end, you've got a lot of control on it.
So I tend to see a huge amount of top-heavy defense going on. Usually they're defending the lobby, press room right from upstairs, a lot of people in projector room and so on. You can see that we've got Dumpling and Pi up in admin right now, and well, they might come into some contact soon. If they could get rid of Cactus on that Jackal, that would be definitely put them some peace of mind there.
So flashbangs come in to make sure there's no trophy systems, and Yoga's nade is perfectly cooked to land on Dumpling's head. Looking for the second one, but they don't entirely know where Pi has gone, and yep, he walks straight into Cactus's crosshairs.
Wow. That was a little bit too easy for Unnamed. They cleared out admin with no problems whatsoever, and now they can press on through. Still, with actually not a bad amount of utility at hand.
I didn't see if there were any trophy systems inside the admin office with them. Dumpling, of course, being Jaeger, would suggest they should have been, but all of those flashbangs went off without being stopped. And then the grenades if he came in.
Would you expect ADS?
I would have expected some ADS in there, especially if you're going to try and put that much hole in there. You put 2 players on there. It's very common for them to try and use grenades to get you out. Why not at least have one trophy system in there to give you a bit of a window?
Oh, Feral is going to be able to pick off Meads. Again, they're trying to come back at this after having an early, well, loss. But however, Feral gets one more Cactus right back on top of that, trading it through. We have just the Valkyrie and the Maestro remaining. And most of the top floor, I think, is cleared out. Just Jesus down the bottom. And actually, we've got Zach too, both of them protecting the main lobby. And that droning is going to help give a lot of information as well for them. How is Unnamed going to be pushing forward now?
Well, they know that Jesus is down here. They don't know about Zach right now. He's hidden in a cupboard, and they don't appear to have found him. They need to pick which side they're going to go to. Cactus's drone... Yeah, see, Zach hasn't been spotted, so he's smart not to kill this, and he's in hiding for it. They've got holes in the floor. Now he'll shoot that out, but he's still got his friendly camera there to help him. Jesus is up through the hole in the floor, spots one, but can't quite land enough damage on him to put him down, and has to reposition himself now. 45 seconds on the clock, and it does look like Unnamed are going to go for that A site. And this is a perfect position from Zach. They didn't know he was there. He catches one coming down the stairs, another through the drop, and suddenly it's a 1v2 against Unnamed, as Tank News now has to look for 2 kills. He finds Zach in the middle of the desk. Now all he needs is Jesus. He's got 30 seconds, though, and this could be done. He, however, doesn't have the diffuser.
Yeah, Zach has done so much for the team just then. That, well, starving of information has helped him to no end, but now ticking down to 20. Tank Ninjas, is he going to be able to clutch this 1v2 out? Spamming out, there is public bathroom, is he nearby? Or is he, no, he's holding press, in fact, but there might be a little rotation hold there. He is going to move through, 5 seconds left, not going to be able to find the kill just in time. Jesus is going to be saving Vexed.
Smartly played by Jesus, just staying very, very patient, waiting for the plant noises. I think they still had an extra couple of cameras up too, because they had the Valkyrie cameras hidden in a few places in their main lobby. Tank killed one of them, but I think there may have been more. I also didn't actually see if the default camera was killed in the lobby. It was up while Zach was still hidden in that cupboard, and if that wasn't taken out, it's a big oversight by Unnamed. But ultimately, as you mentioned, Zach hiding in that cupboard, starving them of information, hiding from that drone nicely, mean that when they did commit to that A site, they only had few places they could come from. They knew they were all upstairs, so it's dropping through the hatch and coming down the spiral staircase, and he picked them both off beautifully. Is
it nice play, Zach, as well? I mean, it obviously was a nice play, but also the drone went past. There was an opportunity for a quick little flick of the mouse, and that information was there, and that round would probably be theirs at that point.
Yeah, no, it's poor droning on the part of Unnamed. Is that they should have checked that cupboard. It's sloppy for them not to be fair. They had an idea, of course, of where Jesus was, which is what they were looking for on the drone, but if you're going to make a play and a move like that, you need to make sure where you're going is completely clear, and it doesn't take half a second to take a quick peek inside that cupboard and turn around.
Well, hopefully for them, it's not too late to recover from this. Always going to be a learning lesson, instances like this. We are at the last round of the half. Vexed looking for themselves onto a 4-2 scoreline, and given that it was slightly traumatic right at the beginning for them, things were just not flowing whatsoever, they're looking far healthier. We do have Ella on the board. We've got the return of Pulse.
Definitely felt like the first half of this map, these first 2 rounds, they were feeling out, right? Their aggression, their peaks, these unconventional defenses by not sitting firm. It wasn't working because they didn't really know how Unnamed were going to be coming at them. They were sticking themselves in places where Unnamed were ready. They read those quickly after 2 rounds. They felt how the attacks were going to come in, and now they are making Unnamed dance to Vexed's beat, and that is working for them now, as you say, 3 rounds on the trot. And Unnamed, you can see again, have switched their operator choices up for a 3rd time on the row, quite dramatically too. So we'll see what it is they've got up their sleeve this time around.
Well, Dockerby going to be helping out with some of those sound cues, obviously, dropping those logic bombs. And we have got, was that ADS being chucked in admin? I may have missed.
Yeah, that was flashbangs being thrown into, not admin, but the actual B-bomb site into the CEO office to clear those out and make sure that was empty and usable.
And now Docby going to be dropping the Logic-On. Cute. There was one right around the corner in the
he was in the bench corridor. They didn't appear to hear the sound go off, but actually no, I think they did. Snooken is waiting down by those vending machines for him to come past. Dumpling pushed out of admin, but again, smart T done. They know the push is coming from the other side of the map right now, or they should do. Pi, again, shame to die early because he's Legion who only gets stronger as the game goes on, and this is part of the strength of Dokkaebi. They have to stop doing what they're doing to put their phone away, and because of the speed that these rounds have been going at, they often don't have a chance to do that. So a lot of these phones keep ringing for quite some time.
Oh, it's a shame to be talking about the Legion going down early again. Too many occasions, but we have Feral. Feral always seems to be getting them out of trouble. He's picking up these entry frags for the defenders. That is going to be IQ falling for them. But it seems that we're getting a little later in the round. Usually we've got about 3, 4, 5 players dropped at this stage.
IQ was watching the flank, so that's a great pickup for Feral to do, because now Unnamed have to commit another person to watch their backsides again and have to be aware of these roaming pulses once more downstairs, and of course plant on that table, because if he's in piano he can see for them. So a really important pickup from Feral, and more important that he's now stayed alive again, and Unnamed aren't doing anything with it. They're not hunting him again, they were just waiting, and now they're going to seem to try to dive into B with not much information on the board.
Fantastically done there by me. He's going to pick up 2. Feral trying to go up behind on the yellow stairs. Dumpling's going to be able to find 1. And that's going to make it a 2 versus 3. However, we've got the diffuser down. All those bullets there on the other 5.56. And we have a player down, actually. Captau is down, so it's technically a 2 versus 2 if they can keep that man going. Meads is going to pick up 1 more. I think that's a 3rd kill this round. And only Dumpling left to try and get this 1 versus 2.5, if you want to call it that. On the stairs, I think that's Mead still roaming over there. Not many bullets left in the chamber, and now that diffuser time is just ticking downwards fast. That is Mead eventually falling, but there's so little time to work with. He's going to take one down, has a very good read on where the last one is, but it's just perfect positioning. It's going to kill all the time on the clock. It's going to get on the diffuser, and now it's just all too simple for Cactus.
Fantastic play by Meads. I don't know whether Feral had already used his C4 again or not, but him coming up that yellow staircase really confuses me. He didn't, if he had his C4, he did not need to do that. Even if he didn't have his C4, I feel like he could have tried to play from below using the heartbeat sensor and shot through the floor instead. Again, they're on the desk for the plant, not necessarily a thing, but you can still try and scare their positioning around, or at least give your team position using the heartbeat sensor. Instead, he tries to come up that yellow stairs, and Meads read him like a book. Had that long cover in towards the connector room. The smoke from his team almost plumed just too soon and covered his own line of sight, but he got that kill before it did so, and was then there ready for Feral to come up behind him, because he knew with IQ dead, that's where Pulse would likely be coming from. And if Pulse didn't come up behind, he'd have been the man to go down and try and challenge him in piano. And from there, they had everything covered from those long angles. That's why Blackbeard is so strong in that position on those windows, because he can watch such a huge portion of the map, and all the rotates back towards that site were cut off.
Yeah, beautifully done for Mead. However, it does mean now that the teams are going to be switching sides. We are fully even at the halfway mark. Now we get to see what Unnamed are going to be able to do on the defense. I was looking at the scoreboard there, Snooken still trying to get on the board 0 for 6 for the time being, so feelings out for Snooken. However, now the side switch may be fresh in the mind. Time to get some points on the board as he's playing on Jaeger. And we do have the Legion out as well, and hopefully we don't have to comment too much of those early deaths, so we can see a lot of that goo mine coverage. Tank Ninjas, though, has been playing very solidly, I'd say.
He's also I would say last resort player, but he's also very much an anchor, steady rock of a player for his rosters, in that he's regularly the last one alive, or often within that last group, and that's exactly what we want a Legion to be, to get as many of those traps out as possible, and to position them in the position where the attackers don't have time to rotate away from them and have to run through them when they come on through.
Are you surprised by the scoreline that we've got at the halfway mark? Or is this kind of...
Not really. Looking at the way things have played out, it's kind of as expected. As I mentioned, Vexed had a very aggressive defense. It doesn't always work out, but you can come through with surprising rounds, and I think they did in some of those opportunities. They took gambles and they risked it, and sometimes it paid off. Looking now here, though, at the Unnamed defense, yes, there's a lot of movement. You can see him sprinting around a lot, but it feels a little bit more structured. And the Vexed attack is now seeming to be far more one-dimensional. They are all on this one end of the map. They're all on the east. They're all pushing through admin. Whereas when Unnamed were attacking, they were a little bit more split. They'd have a couple on coming through admin, they'd have a couple on the CEO's windows. They spread themselves out a little bit more, which meant that Vexed had to cover more options and had to pay attention to more places when they were defending. Unnamed don't have that same problem now that everyone's coming from one way with Vexed, and Vexed are just going to have to try and brute force their way through 5 guns.
Yeah, there is a solid amount of hard breach going. I was wondering if that Habana was maybe going to open up the service stairs side, but it is actually Zach hanging on the balcony, trying to catch wind of any of those unnamed guys all the way down towards the yellow stairs area. Others might visit the crosshair of one of the players here in the projector room, but staying safe for now. That should be valuable information for his teammates. However, if they can find themselves a way in, there's even the ping out at the moment. He's trying to find the shot, but not quite going to be able to. Tank Ninja's going to be surviving. There's 2 players right outside by service stairs. Quick reload. Going to be avoiding the flash. There's good one. There's another thrown down on the floor. He's going to pick up another 3K here from Tank Ninjas. And it is only Jesus left on the Vex squad. And this has turned from hard to, well, incredibly difficult.
That was fantastic play from Tank Ninjas in that room. They were trying to keep his attention on the window, which they had, to be fair, but he managed to get the kill onto Habana right when it counted. He had cover from, I think it was Snooken, from, I think, the connector to help him. So when the push was coming through, that was firing across towards the doorway, because obviously they were going to try and push from the doorway and shoot him from the window at the same time. He wins the fight on the window. Snooken wins the first man through the door, and that leads Tank then back to reset after the trade came through and Meads was taken out to reset and look towards that doorway again, and then dodging that flashbang, winning those firefights, very, very important. And Mr. Dependable. Yeah,
well, and Snooken is also on the board, which I can confirm for everybody. So good news all around there from the Unnamed boys. They are going to be going down to the basement though on this occasion, hoping for a little more success than Vexed had in the early stages of the game, where they failed twice in a row, unfortunately for them. And now that they're all fresh into the game, maybe they can even further this advantage that they have over Vex, and we could get what I would suspect to be, well, it would shake up the groups quite a lot if this result transformed into a victory for them. However, we're not there yet. We're not quite there yet.
Still a long way to go, yeah. We want to see how this defense plays out, because Unnamed's defense of the up floor was very strong, but it was largely due to Vex's attack, as I said, being quite one-dimensional, not having too many different areas that had Unnamed's attention. Now, the basement, if you try that same thing again, that very one-dimensional attack, you're either sprinting in through the lobby, through the lockers area trying to push the kitchen, or you're coming straight through that garage door, both of which are pretty standardized to defend against these days for Unnamed, especially when you've got a Maestro on the board who controls so much space and gives so much information. I'd like to see a little bit different here from Vex, sending, even if it is just Feral from somewhere different to try and mix things up and shake things up a little bit. Something else just to unsettle Unnamed's hold would be nice. We'll have to see whether it goes through or not. They are rocking that bandit on the garage, and I want to see if Snooken tries to stop the thermite charges going off, tries to stop the enemy open, because of course Zach himself on Vex did it once and then gave up and never again. But the upside that Vex have here that Unnamed didn't have is that they also brought Habana to the table. So if they lose a thermite charge or both thermite charges, they've got a little bit else to use for that hard breach.
I wonder how long it's going to actually take them to clear out the floors, because I think Sledge is probably going to want to head towards the press room, try to get some angles downwards, open up those soft floors. And then that Ash, of course, is going to be really good to go versus those Evil Eyes. If we get to that point, minute passed, top floor now seems to be pretty securely cleared, and they can start heading downwards.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone was up here at all, but they did a good job of making it seem like they did have someone up there, and as a result, Vexed have burnt a minute and a bit of the clock trying to clean it out. They use a bit of utility on it too, but they're doing it nice and fast, and they're now setting up to think about opening and pressuring the garage itself. And now is when Tank Ninja makes himself aware, makes them known of his position by taking out Zach with a very long angle from the Visa office all the way down towards Piano. And now they go back upstairs. This is why all that prep was done up here, so they can use this late rotate. But takes his eyes off the yellow stairs at the wrong second, and Feral's come back up to meet him. What Feral doesn't know is that there was another man up top though, and it was Cactus. However, he chooses that moment to fall back to safety, go back to site with a minute on the clock, and I like this. This is a smart play. You don't need to burn any more time upstairs. They've only got a minute to go, and the pressure is starting to apply to your teammates in the garage, so help them out.
It could have been terrifying though if Tankman just didn't drop the frag at that point, or even picked one up. Just when you spend that entire minute cleaning out the top floor, only to be found it's immediately retaken, then you're going to have to way too many resources to watch your flanks once again. It still feels kind of stressed for Vexed, as Jesus has lost so much of his health already on Sledge. They have been dealing a bit of damage. Jugger and the Maestro also almost as weak as Jesus. But we're now going to crunch time. Oh, that frag grenade not really going to find its mark. The diffuser is going down. Looks like they can't quite get the bullets sent over towards him. 30 seconds, but that no longer matters. They did get it down on time. My heart just skipped a beat as Zamid is going to find that gas grenade kill. Snooken on the board once again. Feral coming right back at it. It is a 3 versus 2. Cactus is still going to find Feral now. Only Pi alone. We've seen some big plays from him. Can he go massive over here? Another over by the van. It's turned into a 1 versus 1. Can he hold on to this round and bring it to a 4-4? Cactus pushes out, and there's still going to be plenty of time. A valiant effort from Pi.
So close by Pi, nearly picked that up very, very well. But yeah, just didn't quite have the information needed to know that push was coming his way. Didn't know that man was stepping out on him, and he was also so low already by that point. Very nearly pulled off nicely there by Vexed, in all honesty. They did get good control of the garage once they started to move those. Once they knew they clear rumors, they pushed everyone out of the garage using those holes in the floor, pushed them right back. They had the wall open so they could get in, and they got that plant down, and it was a great position to do so. However, they lost a few key gunfights in the retake coming through. The Ash dying through the floor from below, Feral getting taken out from underneath. Yes, he got 1 kill, but after he was taken out, that's a massive amount of pressure disappeared when that Ash is no longer on the board. The smoke grenade obviously killing the Thermite. Not the end of the world, because Thermite had done his job at that point. The plant had gone down, but because of that follow-up kill as well, there was just an immediate hole in the Vexed defense of their own plant, and Unnamed capitalized on that to retake. Pi did his best work and very nearly positioned himself very well to take 3 individual 1v1s to secure it and hold on, but didn't quite have the health left after that second one to secure that fight.
It's still a great effort. Now that we've moved to the 3rd round of this half, and there's two successful defensive rounds for Unnamed, the lineup for Vex has changed massively, presumably to cater towards this different hold. We've got the Zephyr here, we've got IQ, we've got Twitch. Their lineups removed basically the hard breach, and seems, I'm not sure if aggressive is the right word, but there's a lot of utility there that should be able to help them out with any of those defense, with those Grismont mines.
I'm intrigued by the Twitch.
The ADS and so on. Yeah?
Twitch's utility these days is kind of limited to taking out mirror windows. Mirror's back, not here. It can disable Evil Eyes from Maestro, but it's, you know, it's a strange thing to commit to do that when you could just take an EMP from Thatcher and throw them all the way in on it. Where and how they use that, it's going to be interesting. Dumpling immediately loses the first drone there to, in fact, there might be the second drone, he threw that one out manually. Might have been a second drone. Here comes his second drone, actually, to a Maestro camera. Snooken does see that last one, but doesn't get it. Pi will immediately pick up the first kill onto Tank, and there goes that second drone. So that's now Twitch now in purely gun mode. She has a great gun, and some of these players can do massive work with it, but that's a big operator pick for just that, but might not even matter if they keep killing all these people.
Yeah, I mean, they're winning the gunfights right now, and that's what counts at the end of the day. With 3 versus 5 for the time being. We have got players that have pushed through. Jesus is going to find another. We've just got Meads and Jugger remaining. And Meads, well, yeah, not in a good place of so low health, and immediately going to say hello to Dumpling. Now just Jugger looking to clutch out, but this is probably the most one-sided round that we've had the entire game. It's going to go the way of Vex.
I don't really know how they did it either, in all honesty. Like, we didn't quite catch all the kills on camera, and as a result, when we did start seeing them, they were all like inconsequential, right? Everyone was already so dead, everyone was out of position, and it was Unnamed trying to regain hold of what their already disadvantaged site was. It was them peeking windows, it was them trying to stop these plants. It was, you say, the Twitch repelling off the windows and an aggressive peek from Feral, but it just, yeah, they were trying to undo damage, at which point their defensive setup was already gone, and the attack from Vex was just having a man on every window shooting at anything that moved. It was a quick, smooth attack from them, and yeah, the Twitch felt like it was more just as a gun pick than her gadget. if we end up seeing the defense go back there, I'd like to see if Twitch has to get used again, and if we do see her used again in a more influential way, just to confirm what that was there for.
Yeah.
But as it was, yeah, good round on the board, a nice round on the board for Vexed, and a quick round on the board for Vexed, but now they're back to defend or attacking this upper floor, which went catastrophically wrong before, and, you know, now we need to see change-ups and mix-ups and big plays from them to keep this swing back in their favor.
Well, at least Vexed got one round where they made Unnamed look incredibly mediocre. However, it's going to be a hard task to make them look that way once again. They definitely had a catastrophic time here before.
10 seconds remaining.
Let's have a look at the setup that we've actually got for Unnamed, as they're back to the same hold they had in round 1 of this half. And they have got the alibi out on this occasion. That's a fresh one. I think it's the first time alibi's out this match.
I like that, because holding admin here is very important. Okay, we've seen that before, we've seen the attacking the side before, and we saw that Vex's entire attack came through the admin the last time. You normally have to commit 2 people to that, and still it's risky to get both of them out there alive without wasting too much time. You throw an alibi in there, and yeah, okay, they're not real and they can't do damage, but those extra faces, those extra people being in there, just waste that little bit extra time as you try and drone it through or take them out and keep that information over. As it is though, Vexed has decided to go complete opposite end of the map, and Alibi will be out of play for a while. But Meads makes that less of an issue by taking out Jesus as he comes through this front door.
Yeah, on that angle, we've seen that one a few times. Still wonderfully done by Meads. And now, the stress is going to be on for Vex, because we're getting to that point in the game where we probably can start talking about it. If Vex loses this game, then they're 1 for 2, I believe. And that's not what you'd probably expect from this lineup at this point in the Premiership.
That's what we hope from them, at the very least.
Unnamed, they wouldn't be looking bad whatsoever. They'd be 1 for 1 for 1. However, Zach goes up yellow stairs. It's going to be able to take down Technicals, who has, as you said, been so solid. Snooker, again, on the Jaeger, takes down Feral. Exchanges continue to come out. We've got a couple of people still repelled up on that far window. But look at that, all of a sudden, Vexed getting down and dirty. They do manage to take down Snooken as well. They've made it a 3 versus 2 of just the Alibi and Smoke left. Smoke still could play a pivotal role.
This has not been good from Unnamed, from more of a point of losing straight gunfights. They were positioned well, but Tech Ninja should not have died there to that. Follow-up from Yugger should not have died to that. Now there's a lot of work on these 2 remainers.
Wow, Cactus actually managed to find that angle. Pi got a little bit curious. Cactus is going to find a second out the window as the last one hanging out. Dumpling finds 1. Can he find 2? He can't. Meads is going to shut that one down. And that is going to be Unnamed putting themselves onto match point. All of a sudden it just flipped.
Just as I was talking about Unnamed losing gunfights, Tank Ninja should not have died there on the stairs. He knew the map was coming, he had traps still waiting for him, he just wasn't ADS'd in time and missed the shot when needed. Yugger then, again, knew the man was there, knew he was on the window, knew he was coming up the stairs, was holding the very tight angle, should have easily been picked up a kill on an already injured Zofia. He lost that firefight. And then Snooken, because Jugger lost that firefight, Snooken tried to run out of the office and jump into the yellow stairs to try and regain that control and then fight back in towards the site, but he dies to the crossfire coming out. He doesn't need to make that run, he doesn't need to sacrifice himself like that. If either of those 2 players that were holding the yellow stairs before him just killed that one Zofia. But as soon as they finished cutting out the pieces of them for missing those shots and not winning those fights, Cactus comes to steps up and goes, "It's fine, guys. I got this. I'm 13 and 5, and I got this." And then just lands some phenomenal slots. Yeah, the shot on the window is a big one at that point because it gives a huge win advantage. Meads managed to pick up 1 more from elsewhere in the side to move it across, leaving it to that 1v1. And yeah, a little bit of panic perhaps from the last Vex player on the window because the smoke grenade was there blocking a bit of view. He might not have heard the diffuser go off. All he had to do was hang out there until he heard the diffuse timer. But Meads was, I think, far closer than he expected after getting that first kill on Cactus. And that, yeah, Meads was quick to answer it and get that kill on the round for Unnamed.
Oh, big plays for Unnamed. They are down in garage with what could be the last round of this match, and would set them up pretty damn well. I'm looking at my notes quickly. They haven't got a win yet. They would be 1 win, 1 draw, 1 loss, which is a bit better place to what they would hope for at this stage. So
it's much more of what I personally expected from Unnamed, given their performance last season, given they made it to the top 4, given they made it to that grand stage. I did think they'd have a slightly better start to this season, and it was worth seeing it. this game perhaps is giving it to them, but at the same time, as we mentioned, taking it away from Vexed, who are also an experienced, solid roster who I thought would have had a stronger start this season.
Is it upset territory, would you call it that?
I wouldn't call it upset territory. These were both very evenly matched teams and both did well last season. Both, again, slightly roster changes, but both had expectations on their shoulders. This game could have gone either way, looking at purely numbers, purely last season, purely from that. But now having looked at the way these rounds have been played, there has been a castle of mistakes, a castle of errors, and a lot of gambles from both teams. And as I mentioned at the start, both have players which have the ability and have in the past stepped up and gone above and beyond to bring their team back from the brink. They've not got the organized strategies, so to speak, the team like Secret or the team like G2 have, where you lock things down to the point where everything is timed, everything is rehearsed to the point you don't need to talk and you can just execute with each other almost telepathically. But we've seen multiple players at multiple times step up and make it work when it counted. Cactus being the previous round, not going to be the man this round. Pi having done it at times for Vexed, and throughout the course of all these rounds, that has kind of been what it's come down to get us to the 6-4 scoreline. Is less of a strategic layout, less of a organized play from these teams, and individual players getting all the information, reading the round before them, and then picking up 2, 3, 4 kills in a row.
Well, Cactus, so much impact last round. He does get a frag at the beginning of this, but is taken out prematurely still, so the mute is gone. Zach is going to be able to find Snook, and on the bandit at Tank Ninjas, he's going to return the frag. A lot of interesting angles this team. However, Tank has got company, and he might get caught out at some point. However, it looks like Jesus is looking a different direction for the moment. Did Tank hear something?
He definitely heard that drop. I heard that drop. Whether he knows exactly where it was he heard it from is another question. Pi very nearly picks off another one. Tank will drop through, and there it is. Tank has done a fantastic job of just being in unpredictable positions this whole game, as you mentioned. With these late flanks, he's doing fantastic work.
Well, now they've got them with just 2 people left. We're getting to that point where the end is nigh for Vexed, as Dumpling is now on such low health. That is going to be 2 really fast frags. It's going to close it out, and Unnamed are going to take the first match of the day, winning over Vexed 7-4.
Tank Ninjas stepping up for their team on that last round. Like, they had a solid hold to begin with, and they weren't doing badly downstairs. They did lose that one man to a quick pick-off from a distance, but ultimately it was that late flank. It was like, okay, they think they've got control of this upper floor. They think they've got control of the rest of the map. Now's my time to sneak my way up through the back staircase and reveal myself from upstairs, pick up 1 kill. And then a smart rotate, rather than dropping down through those spirals, rather than going for the quick route back to the bomb site, which is what they were watching, what Juggo was watching through that hatch. He went the longer way. Yes, it was another gamble, but he went upstairs. He stayed out of the immediate routes. He stayed into a more unknown position, and then caught Juggo by surprise. As Juggo's like, oh, now we're man down. Now we lost another man. I've got to start helping pressure the site. I've got to start getting this plant down, and then Tank was waiting for him as well.
I really like that mid-round adaptations though that we saw from Unnamed. That round where they were Vex taking so long clearing upstairs, and then they have that rotation afterwards. Obviously the round didn't play out the way they wanted to, as Tank actually shortly died after getting shot down from Yellow Stairs. But I like that they're thinking very much on the fly. They've got great execution. Their players are landing such important shots as well. I'm thinking that clutch round again from Cactus was just awesome. So yeah, no, phenomenally played from Alithal.
Hello guys.
Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back everyone. So with Unnamed now getting their first win on the board, would you say it was a little bit more of an upset here considering how Vex played last week, and not just the lineup changes or anything like that, because you did mention one crucial point was the fact that with the defensive side of Vexed, they're known for playing quite aggressive. Do you reckon there was too many opportunities where they kind of should have played a little bit more passive and a little bit more standard rather than usual aggressive plays on that defensive side?
I think there's a few moments when I would have liked to see them play a little bit more passive, a little bit more static. But as you were saying that, we did see the moment where Zach is holding the cylinders and he aggressively peeks up to find a double kill. And that was a big one for their round. It is plays like that that keep a team like this doing. It is plays like that that keep them aggressively peaking, keep them being mobile in their defenses. But it comes back to when you find a team that's a little bit more disciplined, when you find a team that's got a bit more of a solid timing to their pushes, they will punish that. Both of these teams had moments where players would step up and go beyond. Players would pick up 3-4 kills. When Tank Ninjas would flank late in the round. And these work because of millisecond differences in timing. Half a second this way and he gets a kill. Half a second that way and they're looking the other way. And that was what a lot of these rounds came down to. Half a second difference on that peak and Cactus would have been peeking into a Zofia who was still in that yellow staircase, who was still holding that tight angle. But because he peeked out when he did, she's in the middle of the doorway and it's a free and easy kill. Why she was pushing in aggressive like that, don't really know. That's the sort of thing that if you were just a bit more disciplined, a bit more static, if you just held that angle and trusted in your teammates a bit more, you would have had a much more defensible position and it would have been a much harder kill for him to pick up. The shot in the window, fantastic. Again, could have been avoided if
you just don't
stayed hidden. But yeah, Zofia could have also done the same thing. Instead, both players were peeking aggressively after the planter went down, where it's like, you don't need to be doing this anymore. You are now the defenders. You are the ones that can now sit there and hold firm and make them come to you. But instead, you're going to them, and characters did a great job to capitalize on it. But it's these things, as I say, with more experienced rosters, more experienced teams, these little rough edges are ironed out.
That's right, and Unnamed finally getting their first win on the board now, really shaping up Group B to be, or even more of a close one than we said before now on that 4 points, now getting up there, especially against Vexed as well, so it's going to make it for more interesting stuff. But if you do want to follow us on any of our social media as well, you can follow us at ESL UK or hashtag ESL Prem if any questions you want to ask or follow suit anyway. But that's our first match of the day. We do have our second match coming in a few minutes, so stay tuned. and welcome back to the ESL Premiership for Rainbow Six Siege, powered by Intel. And that was the first match, all done and dusted, making Group B a lot closer than it should be now. Now the second match, another very interesting one, of course, between Epsilon and Wind and Rain. Now, your verdict so far, now these two teams are obviously in the top 2 so far, but for Wind and Rain, they had a very good start in the first match. Second match was a tie against Unnamed, probably because Unnamed actually started getting better as the weeks progressed. But how do you think they would do against this Epsilon team?
I honestly don't want to make too many predictions on this one. It's going to be a tight game. Wind and Rain are, as I say, the dark horses here, but Epsilon are also, there's a few unknowns on there. The map is going to make a big difference, and of course we can't really, well, they're not going to be playing any of the maps they've played already. We're not going to be playing the things we've seen them play last week. So it's going to be something new and something different guaranteed, and that could shape up the way they play dramatically.
That's why I like asking about predictions, because every single one of these matches are going to go to the wire, no matter what anyone says here. So if I ask for a prediction, I know you guys are going to be like, I have no idea what to say and what to do, but what's your opinion on this match, Steve?
I've seen a little bit of Epsilon. I've actually casted quite a few of the Wind and Rain games. They go up and down a lot. They're kind of losing games you expect them to win, and they're winning games you expect them to lose. Another good example is that right at the beginning of this, they beat Vexed. But I know that their coaches are Afi and David, I think, watching really, really closely, watch absolutely everything they do. I think that Wind and Rain will win this. I'm going to actually make a prediction here and see.
Go for it.
I'm doing it. I'm not going to say like exact round score, but I think Wind and Rain are going to take this marginally. Like, it's going to be very, very close.
Well, speaking of Wind and Rain, we do have the roster for you to show you exactly who will be playing today. So, Panky, if you want to take us through this roster for us.
So, the Wind and Rain roster is Harris, Blackout, Vex, Hayes, and I should have found out how to pronounce that beforehand.
I was told it's just Kyuju, apparently.
Kyuju.
So
Right,
I've spent a lot of time saying really weird things.
I just say Q. Simple. First layer.
I apologise to him already profusely. But yes, Kyuju will go with Fennel.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'm just going to say Q. If you don't like it, just let me know and I'll call you something else. It's perfectly fine. And so if you could take us through the next roster for us, the Epsilon one, what should be coming up very shortly?
Yeah, we go. We got Madman, Proyo, Blur, Astro, Chevy. Have we got some switches?
Much easier to say those.
We've got some switches again, though, haven't we? Because Madman wasn't playing with them last week.
I suppose we'll find out when we actually go into the game to see if there is actually any changes. I feel sorry for Panky though, because you are right, those names are much easier to mention in comparison. But is there any players for you, Zoo, in this Epsilon roster which you may say stands out a little bit or may help? Because I've seen Shermie make a few good plays in the past. Madman, I've seen him a few times as well, one of those players who actually transitioned across.
I've seen good things from Shermie, Madman, and I believe that Astro as well stands out for me. But again, my experience of casting Epsilon games is still somewhat limited at the moment. I'm still trying to wrap my head around what I was expecting, because Capcan I've got noted down here as also playing for them. And I believe Madman was replaced by Blur last week. I want to say that. And now we've had some more switches. So again, roster moves the topic of the day.
Mate, it's roster mania every week, not every 3 months, not every 2 months. We don't muck about on the premise every week.
We are UK. We are proud.
Exactly.
This is definitely the roster that's...
No. Yeah, well, we've even got the confirmation right here. There's definitely a roster. I believe it, but it's just there's so many roster changes going on that it's just I think there's some stabilizing really needs to happen at some point soon.
So I think this week may be that week. I'd like to think this week is that week, right? If you look at you look at the season, you look at how it runs, you look at your groups, you look at how do we get our best team. Well, we can train and we can practice. We can think we've got a team going into the season. But you get into week 1, things don't quite go to the plan. I think there's a few teams here where they didn't quite go to the plan they wanted. So then you give yourself a couple of weeks. All right, let's mix this up. Let's change this bit here. Let's change that bit there. And now that we're almost 3 weeks in, okay, this is where we need to start settling. So we've got a whole bunch of roster changes again this week, but I'd like to see the teams stick from here on going forward.
100%.
Because, yeah, it may not be you're perfect, but you're not going to find that perfect wedge watching in rosters. You've got to find a solid lineup, and then you improve on it, and you rough off those edges, and you smooth it out from here going forward. So I'd hope these are where we're going to see things stick.
Yeah,
I hope so as well, but speak on the rosters, that is actually the correct roster. So Madman is in that Epsilon roster as well. And one thing we're going to go through now is the map picks and bans to see exactly which map they will be playing on. And it will be Coastline for this one. And Panky, you were saying before, it's going to be very important in terms of what map choice it will be between these two teams. Does this map favour anyone in particular, or is it very even considering the circumstances?
This is a map which can be made or broken with predetermined ideas. It's not that easy to roam on this map. There's a lot of opportunities, there's a lot of places you can go, but with an attacking team that has their structure and their ideas in mind, you can pincer off and lock off these roamers. I don't want to say with ease because it makes it sound too much, but like there are some defined ways to play Coastline. There are some ideas in there. It's still new enough that there are a few crazy little things that are being brought up by some teams. The bans will make a big difference, but ultimately, if the attacking team is all on the same page, you can hone and pin in defending roamers into one way. Then you come to attacking the sites, and they are very small, cramped locations. It is not too hard to predict and find where your defenders are going to be on those sites. And if you've got control of the rest of the map, if you've taken the rooms off the board, you can start making holes in the floor, you can start doing things from below, and you can start to minimize the already lacking positions for defenders to sit. So having that out of sight control is an important part, and it's a sort of thing that you need to have an idea of before you go into it. You can't just kind of wing your way through it and hope you get lucky because of how important the communication information comes down to it.
That's right, and you know, with Coastline, it's people. Well, some people say it's one of the more balanced maps, but between these two teams, this is a fight for the top spot in the group. So it's definitely all to play for.
It's I think possibly even with a draw. But I don't think there's going to be a gentleman's agreement.
Oh no, I don't think so at all.
but they would still get some decent points there. But I know that these teams are going to be gunning for the victories at the moment. I think it is going to be very even. We are going to be seeing some clutch rounds going on over here. I feel like every time I've watched Wind and Rain play, no one ever seems to go penthouse. You could be just educating me on something. It seems like some ranked people just seem to go penthouse all day, every day, never stop.
I'll be one of those people to say that. I go penthouse quite a lot.
I'm pretty guilty as well myself, but it's totally neglected. You see the Sunrise Blue Bar getting actually played far more than I was expecting. Hookah's obviously almost constantly.
It's one of those maps, and those are these sites where when you run an organized team environment, the kitchen, the Sunrise Blue Bar, the Hookah balcony, those are more commonly played and easily defensible with everyone on the same page. When you've got everyone is a little bit all over the shop, as is a ranked queue, the penthouse location is a little bit more simple because you've got those longer angles, you've got the fewer paths of attack, the fewer routes in, and it's there's a few key must-dos on the attack which you can rely on your team doing. So when you're sitting here in a team environment, everyone's on the same page, you know exactly what's coming your way and you know exactly what's waiting for you. So then it comes to much more of a toss-up. There's not so much that you can do to swing it your way or against with teamwork or with gadget use or with skill. The other sites are much more versatile, much more all over the shop. They are easier to focus on skill-based matchups and strategy-based matchups.
And we do have the operator bands coming in with a second match of the day. Wind and Rain versus Epsilon and your casters, Panky and Zoot.
Thank you very much, Lethal. We are going to be moving into the game in just a few moments as we get the bans out of the way. It is Epsilon first, getting rid of Glaz, and business as usual, really, on that end. Wind and Rain going to be on the attacking side first. I'm more interested to see their defensive ban, but what else do they want to get rid of? Going to be getting rid of the Blackbeard, actually.
Interesting. Blackbeard, as we mentioned on console, is very strong because of window play and because of how much repelling and shooting you can have. Now, you mentioned how teams rarely go penthouse, and to be fair, that's where he's most influential on this map. Repelling on that big open window and being an immovable force from there. The other spots, he's not as strong, but if they're worried about a few particular ideas, obviously take him out.
Well, Maestro, I know that Blackout on Wind and Rain plays a lot of Maestro, and whenever they defend every single round, he'll play Maestro. I'm curious if that's actually possibly a targeted ban. Because it's so common that Blackout will play that operator. But again, it's also not out of the ordinary anyway.
Yeah, it's just a fantastic operator that I don't think any one particular team is going to target ban against one player, because every team likes to use him. Every team knows how strong he is and uses that to their advantage. So to take him out is one thing. I do think it means we'll see Echo in his place, but the Echo drones are a little bit easier to handle than the Maestro cameras with bringing an IQ to the table.
And we do have actually a 6-pick coming from Epsilon, going from Bandit over to Vigil. What I've been educated, what did I end up calling it? The lurky turkey? Is that a term that I've used? I don't know if I've
never heard lurky turkey before in my life, but I like it.
Do you agree as that is a sort of a vigil kind of strategy that you play? You don't really want to be seen for a while, and then you just kind of
pop out and gobble, gobble, gobble. Yeah. Yeah. I can see it. I can see it. We'll watch and see exactly where Show Me goes. As I mentioned, roaming on this map is, it's a big thing, and it's very influential because of how many long angles you can have. If you're looking here at the basement, you've got the lobby on the right-hand side of your screen. You can see all the way down towards the wall of the blue bar from that angle. That's one way you can push. You can look across the middle central area if those walls start to open. You generally will see teams making holes next to where Legion is right now. You can see there is a rotate hole in there. And again, you can see that from all the way in the lobby to the other side. If Shermy, after his run out onto Kuyu, stays around this side of the map and isn't flushed out to there, he can be a big impact on these A and B bomb sites from a long way away. And of course, there is no one better at hiding than Vigil, thanks to his gadget.
Yeah, that wasn't the lucky turkey there.
Yeah, that was a very aggressive run out at spawn, and it takes away his own worst enemy.
Exactly. It couldn't really be a better start for Epsilon actually in this round, and indeed the match with QG out of there. They don't need to worry so much. They can be a little bit more mobile around the map as their footsteps are not going to be tracked. Proyo, though, still on Legion lurking down those back stairs. Let's see what kind of setup actually we might be getting offensively. Trying to see what side of the map they want to attack. Are they going poolside entrance or?
We went from Hayes is sitting in the kitchen and is just holding an eye angle. The rest of the team seem to be controlling the upper floors at the moment.
Yeah.
Now, Vigil, they know he's on site. They can hear him shooting and see him shooting from the site location. So I'm interested to see. Never mind. Where Epsilon plan to use him in future, but they're not going to now that Vex has taken him off the board. But it's quickly answered.
Yeah, we're getting some trade-outs here, one after another, as Vex gets the last onto Astro. That's going to bring us into a 3 versus 3 now, with 90 seconds left on the clock. So although there was the early casualty for Wind and Rain, they are trying to get back. All of them trying to get this match off to a good start to get that first round on the board. That's Madman, who we were missing last week. Let's see what kind of an impact he's going to be able to have this time round, as pool entrance is pretty damn quiet for the moment. But Hayes looking over from kitchen, just trying to catch someone making maybe a movement error. But it's at that point now where you've got to stop just hoping for errors of some sort. Blur does catch the feet of one of the attackers, but it's not going to result in a frag of any sort.
No, the MPX doesn't do much damage, so without a headshot, it takes a lot to put people down, and Zafir down to 50 health. But it does mean he stops pushing from this direction. Now he's scared to go back there, so it helps his team focus their little more attention towards blue bar. Hayes is holding the crossover and looking for anyone that pushes onto Blackout. He's going to jump out the window. Oh, and it's just as Hayes looks away from the window. Madman jumps in. He does stop the plant, but he will be traded out instantly. Proyo, meanwhile, finds Blackout elsewhere, and it does now mean that Hayes is solo.
Yep, I've got everything to do. There's, well, incredibly limited amount of time left. Going to pull that goo mine out. They know exactly where the diffuser is. Valkyrie's holding a really good angle. He does actually try to check that out very quickly. He's going to take another peek, quite possibly, but the timing, once again, he still gets the frag. There are 10 seconds left on the board. We're fighting to get this first one going. Proyo is actually pretty nearby. Wow, Hayes goes for it, but Proyo is first to react, first to get the kill, and Epsilon, they're going to be getting that first round on the board.
That was very lucky indeed for...
I was scared by Proyo a little bit when he moved.
Yeah, so they didn't need to move until they hear the plant go down. You know where Hayes is. He tripped on the Legion one, so he had to pull that out. You knew where he was coming from. You know he has to get to the site, and he has to plant the diffuser. When he jumped down and started going through, Valkyrie jumping down to follow him wasn't needed. She could sit up there and wait till they hear the plant sound, or wait till Legion was in a better position. Her jumping down and taking that fight after missing the first few shots, slight misplay on her part, a little bit greed perhaps, that could have cost them the round, because Proyo, yeah, came down to a very close position, and that then fight towards the end around the reinforcement could have gone either way, but Proyo managed to put it out of the bag. I don't really know how the round started out, because a lot of those kills that got to 3-3 we didn't quite catch, but ultimately it does feel like the defense could be tightened up a little bit. The attack took a long time to get control of the upper floor and to get in towards pressuring the site, and that's something that the Roamers could further extenuate by being a little bit more aggressively positioned and moving back. Shermy, as I say, on the Roamer, on the Vigil, so good at hiding, so good at being that unknown entity. Instead used for a sprint run out at the start, did grab a kill with it, but then just went and sat on site as if he was any other defender. I'd like to see that Vigil used potentially a little bit more.
A bit more lurky-turkey, would you say?
A bit more lurky-turkey.
I will keep saying that, by the way, so you'll be sick of it by the end. Anyway, we are here in kitchen and service entrance. And I wonder if Shami's going to go for another one of those peaks. Don't think he's going to be able to catch anything on this occasion, but yeah, there's no. If he's sitting up in penthouse, he is actually having a look around. Still a very aggressive posture there, but there's not really much in the way of Wind and Rain players, as they seem to be mostly, well, actually all up on the west side, looking near sort of hookah balcony. Down into Blue Bar to office. A lot of droning going out at the moment as they try to clear out. It'd be nice to see if they could maybe move it into office at some point soon, or aquarium. I start to get some presence in the map of burning through this first minute of play ever so quickly.
Jeremy is being a bit more mobile now, a bit more active and making himself known in a few different positions, and that is going to, of course, slow down the attackers as they try and pin him down and find exactly which one he's in before they can move in safely. This is exactly where you want a Vigil, exactly what you want a Vigil to be doing. But he's doing it with a Mute, which is not the end of the world, because Mute...
Hello.
Nice. Mute can, you know, be as unknown and be as hard to track with well-placed jammers, but you could use it with two combined. That fight between Hayes and Blur, Hayes just about wins, but is not doing too well on his health on the other side of it.
Well, still with the man advantage. Kuju trying to find one as well. Was very, very close, aiming too high. Basically, trying to say, am I expecting... Oh, is there a pixel there? Roy sees it, but just can't react in time. And sometimes you're just anticipating someone to be standing around the corner or crouching, and sometimes you catch the wrong end of everything. Proy, once again, just narrowly missing a shot. They have found where he is, so it's going to be difficult for him to rotate around. Does Chukaguma just try to get out as many as he can during the meantime, but he is fully surrounded. Wind and Rain are going to make this a 5 versus 3, and the pressure is absolutely onto Epsilon.
They do only have to hold it for a minute, and that wasn't going to be too tough until now.
Yeah, Madman now falling. The Mute and the Bandit, this is not a good sign. They've got a lot of pings going out at the moment, so the information is there. A bit of utility going through Shermie. A huge anchor in kitchen. Astro is going to find a frag. He's going to find a second, actually, and we're expecting people to walk around for Shermie any second now, but nothing seems to be happening. The patience come through. Shermie also picks one up, so never mind that it's a 2 versus 5. They've brought it down into a 2 versus 2. Astro looks like he's holding still in lobby. C4 comes out. Is it going to be a double? No. That looks insanely close. 15 seconds to go. Shermie loses track of that information. Now Astro has to come back into the site. He's in the bathroom, has to push service, but it is going to be Vexed to shut the one down and equalize things a little bit. Wind and Rain on the board. Unlucky
for Shermie. I don't know how that C4 didn't get a kill, if I'm honest. The flashbang was really well put and allowed them to get into sight to take him away, but the C4 seemed to go through the doorway, and Zofia was right on the outside of that doorway and didn't seem to take any damage from it.
It was strange. I was expecting a huge amount of damage.
Yeah, unless it did land inside, unless it didn't land in the right place and thus, you know, did not go through that doorway. A little bit confused and unlucky for Shermie in that point. But yeah, very nearly pulled that right back from the edge. Astro really well played with his flank and with his timing to get those 2 important kills onto that side of things. But couldn't quite make his way back onto site after Shermie fell. So unlucky to him for that. But ultimately, Hayes did a lot of work on that attack, but it was all set up from information and from positions in the rest of his team. With, you know, pinning Proyo into Blue Bar, pinning that Legion in spot, allowing Hayes to shoot him in the back. The very nice peek on the tight angle to Madman was just a straight skill setup for Hayes, peeking into that site and winning the fight. But a lot of it all came down to finding and cleaning out those Romans, which they did much better that time around.
Yep. Was really, really good for them. And Hayes now finds himself actually on 5 frags, so he is leading the scoreline for the server. Of course, Epsilon having lost on kitchen service entrance, they are going to be opting to choose that site once again. Now spreading themselves further. Proyo complemented by Blur here in Sunrise. And Shermie was roaming around upstairs, was moved back down closer to the site in that hallway. You can see a very, very tight window angle there. But no one really found out in ruins for the time being, and Shemi also. Just in case any quick aggression, anyone opening up any of those wooden panels, they will be suffering. But a lot of those Wind and Rain players, as we can see again, they actually are towards that sort of ruin side, but haven't been giving up any free information yet.
The drones are making their way around the opening rooms, opening floors, letting them in. Proyo is once again here in Sunrise. I don't know if he got droned. There was one, I think, moving around in this room. It might have been the floor above. But looking at the way Vex is creeping in and checking every angle, I think they know Proyo's here and they're trying to find him again.
I'd maybe like to see some more movement though from Wind and Rain with that. Oh, we are just going to have a quick run up. Madman is going to take down Harris with that. And we have another trade there. Proyo taking a second to shoot back. Hayes will take him down. Seemed possibly a slow reaction from Proyo. And we are
that was like
44.
Gamble play for Madman. Shooting that barrier open can take it takes 20 bullets if you land them all in the perfect spread. To then give him just 10 to peek out onto that IQ. If it had taken any more, he could have had nothing left to peek out and get that kill, and he very nearly ran out.
Oh, Vex is going to take the frag as well from Madman. That's making it into a 4 versus 2 all of a sudden. I feel like that Sunrise anchor as well has cost them position. Even though I was about to talk about Wind and Rain, I wanted them to take some position even earlier. Maybe some people moving while the drones are going a little bit so they can get that immediate feedback. We are going to get Shermie trying to equalize things a little more. Blur as well is going to be assisting on this, as now we are down to a 2 versus 2. Shermie out in the courtyard, spraying through a little bit, has to go on the reload. They seem to be going back and forth, but Kyuju takes down Blur, and all of a sudden Shermie has got everything to do. 1 versus 1. The diffuser currently being planted, but it's faked out a little bit. Shermie right in the crosshair. Blackout, unfortunate on that occasion, rescued there. It looked like it was dire straits.
I think there might have been a camera on site. There was a few pings going off. I couldn't quite track where they were and where it was coming out, but he may well have got the information to the fact that Blackout was, you know, heading his way. It might have, however, just been great game knowledge and great smarts to know that, oh, he's faked the plant, he knows I'm coming from this direction, I'm going to hold this angle, because he's either pushing onto me, which he did and he got the kill, or he's going to go back onto the plant in a moment. In a 1v1, all you have to do is wait for Jingle of that plant, and then you know he's distracted / not paying attention, you have that advantage. And
was he going for the... because he was aiming down at the crouch kind of level, and I imagine at that point he realized that the plant had been stopped. But he's still, I don't know if that's the game sense or that also got some information to tell him he's actually still crouched.
Yeah, that's why I'm not sure about the cameras. There was a few pings when he was running around upstairs, which is why he picks up that kill on Zofia across the balcony, which is a great pickup by him. Then isn't sure about where he's going. He was going to think about going into Aquarium, but the pings came out and he sees all 3 players. He knows he's safe to jump over the edge into the hatch and then take the fight from there. Where those cameras were, not entirely sure. It may have been the default one that's right above where Shermie's running around at the moment, but there's no normal cameras that are in that site that should be able to see it, so it might have been had to be something else. Might have been a bulletproof camera or something like that for his team that his team had placed in the site to help. But yeah, pre-aiming crouch. There's a lot of things that could have been, a lot of maybes. It could have just been great game sense, and
either way is great.
A gamble on his part to aim low, but yeah, very well played by Shermie to flank, come back, and pick up again. I think it was 3 or 4 kills for his team.
Well, we are halfway through the half, and we're back over to Sunrise and Blue Bar as they had that early success as well with it. Shermie again holding close here in the lobby, and we do have the east push at the moment from Wind and Rain, but maybe they're going to be heading up to sort of DJ booth, clear out, Hall of Fame, VIP, penthouse. It's really going from one total opposite end of the map onwards, unless they want to just head into sort of service entrance.
The problem with A and B sites here with the Sunrise Blue is that almost the entire floor is destructible from above. So they have to get control up top, else the roamers that are up here, so the defenders that are up here, could still be a threat to them below. It's also not too hard to rotate down from above by jumping out of windows or running down staircases. But Harris helps them out by taking Blur off the table very early on. That being the Valkyrie means she's not too influential now that she's dead, in terms of, you know, the gun's gone, but she's still in play because those cameras are pre-placed, because she's helping gather that information. So now they have to find those as well.
And Harris is going to get some important information. They're finding the Ella down, and I'll be Shermie going to reposition immediately. doesn't want to get caught out at all.
Split focus here from Wind and Rain's attack. They've got some people trying to find bottom, some people trying to shake out Shermie, but these two up here with drone assistance pushing upstairs. Now, if you can do it well, of course, that gives you a lot more time to attack the site. But with those split focus, with those players paying attention in different spaces, it can take quite a bit longer to get it done.
Astro opening up this holes towards blue. Otherwise there wasn't more open angles there yet, but they keep saving for around, but Shermie does catch Vex's head, and there was just a pixel just traveling right and right and right, and Shermie still manages to chase it down. That's bringing it onto a 4v4. We're now into the final minute. Oh, it's crunch time for Wind and Rain. They've got to get themselves positioned more aggressively. I do see a lot of attacks that rely on mistakes from defenders. I don't think Wind and Rain are all about that, but that opportunity for error, or potential error, seems to be gone. Shermie holding close is going to run out. Going to surprise Hayes with that one. Absolutely wasn't expected. And another onto Harris. Phenomenally done from Shermie. That might have been through the boards as well. That was awesome from him. And Blackout there, I mean, he did just black out because he saw nothing going on. Taking down my Shermie once again. Brilliantly done by him.
Shermie clearly doesn't need Vigil to be able to dance around and hide from Epsilon's attack. He is a slippery man, and they just cannot pin him down. Fantastic play from him.
Yeah, they just couldn't track him at all. So again, is the brilliant game sense. That aggressive push out of office as the door was open. I believe it was Hayes on the other side of that. Just a good, aggressive, proactive defense, but waiting for that first move before just kind of being undisciplined and just moving into people's crosshairs and just for no reason whatsoever. We move into round 5 now. They are going to be going to hookah billies. I think it's our first hookah hold of the game. And Wind and Rain looking to get themselves on the board. I mean, I put my first prediction out there, and it might be wrong, but that was actually very much the sort of story of my career anyway with predictions. So it's just off to a great start. And if I cursed you, Wind and Rain, I will send you a formal apology in the post.
Well, Wind and Rain, as I mentioned, this map can be made or broken with roamers, right? You, in theory, with a well-organized attack, can pin them down and cut them off quite easily. There's a lot of different destructible walls, a lot of different angles, a lot of different paths to attack from. But you need to have great communication and great movement to do that. Wind and Rain don't have that on lock right now. There's a lot of gaps in their traps, there's a lot of gaps in their rotation, and Shermie is exploiting those. Every time they spot him in one spot, they start to make their way there in a very predictable fashion, and he's ready for that. He's moved away from that spot originally, and then you saw there, they droned him in the lobby, he ran through CCTV, sat in the office and waited for that door to get open. He was staring at it, he was pointing his camera laser the whole time. He didn't look up through the hatch just to check. He got lucky and saw a pixel there and spotted the man, but then he sat there and he waited for that door to get open. He sat there for 30 seconds. But the door got open and he was ready to pink out on Ash and get ready for it. Then he fell back a little bit more into sight and knew the next man was going to drop through the hatch and was waiting and ready for that again too.
I just feel like in the initial part where he just got droned out of lobby, I was like, there should be someone there to do something.
Yeah, someone should be behind that drone ready to punish. Or to at least watch one of his possible fallbacks so that even if you don't see him run, you go, oh, he didn't go this way, he definitely went that way. So even though the drone died, you get the information on where he went. But there was no one there. There was no one close. There's no one to follow it up.
Oh,
he missed the drone. He heard it, but he didn't see it.
Oh, the one there. Okay, locked it down. So he knows, oof, the door is open. I think for just a second, it's not Hayes, is it? Once again, they're going to the battle outside of office. Who is going to be brave on this? Shermie holding a little more sternly as that door is not freshly opened whatsoever.
Vex was a bit late. They know he was in the corridor. He saw him in the corridor, but he wasn't there fast enough to see him get back into his room. And as a result, Shermie gets back into this room unpunished and is there to surprise Vex. Now he knows the next attack's coming from this corridor because that's where it's going to be, and of course his first step got tracked, and he's got no pressure from the other side. Just need to be a little bit tighter up here from Wind and Rain for my liking, and Shermie would be shut down here. Yeah,
and it's the exact frame as well that the Jackal tracking came out. Shermie's going to get another. There's a third available for him, but Madman's going to steal it away from us. Come on, man, we're looking for the Shermie show at the moment. Either way, Blackout and Harris, they have got work to do. They had some successes in the second round, but they have not been able to repeat. Harris just walks into the spam. Blur being able to get the fourth kill of the round. And Blackout, okay, he gets something. There's time to work with over here, but you're looking for everything to fall into place. Nothing's going to fall into place. Madman actually goes pretty aggressive there and shuts down any potential catastrophes.
If Vexed was closer to that office door, faster into that round, yes, it was his drone, admittedly, that was the one that spotted Chermi in that corridor, but the second he spotted Chermi in that corridor, that's when you come off. That's when he comes off of his drone and he stares at that doorway. Because you know, right, he's in this corridor. He's got to come either out this way into me or the other way into my team. As it was, it took him so long between coming off of that drone, getting him to towards that corridor. Chermi was already back in the office. He was already there waiting. And then all Chermi has to do is hold one angle. He's all right, I can cover myself from the door because there's a big solid wall in it. And I know there's one man outside this doorway because he's already shot it open. So I'll sit there and watch that. And he sat there and watched that. And because Vex was now on shore and he was tentative and he was watching the doorway and slowly because he got no information again, the drone is gone and his team were slowly creeping through CCTV because they again didn't know what corner he was going to be hiding behind. Jeremy was like, alright, I know you're getting closer, I know you're getting closer, and now I can use my advantage because I know you're coming in, I have the information. He went aggressive and he picked up the kill, and again, credit to him for that, and that's fantastic shooting for that. And then to get the two more and the guys that you know are about to be funneling through this very tight corridor towards you, capitalize on it. And Madman at that point then did what Wind and Rain should have been doing in the spotting a player and collapsing on it. Epsilon, we've now got a 2-kill advantage because Chermi's grabbed 2. We know there's a third one in this corridor, and Madman, okay, maybe there's a fourth one somewhere else, but we can afford to take a bit of a gamble here. You go and help Chermi, back him up, you go aggressive, you go and collapse in on that pop, and he did get that third kill.
Yeah, it's going to be a very tough one now for Wind and Rain to actually try and make some kind of comeback here. Currently 4-1 in favour of Epsilon, but when that match actually does arise again, we will go straight back into it. Now, another question I was going to ask is that what do Wind and Rain need to do, not just in the last round of this next half, but in the second half as well? Or what do Epsilon need to do just to continue that lead? Because so far they've had a very impressive start, I believe.
Well, I want to answer for Wind and Rain. They seem to be playing a little bit afraid, and I think, again, this Chermi example, he's kind of just there, and people are a bit afraid to peek him because he's already asserted himself in terms of being such an amazing fragger, but I think sometimes you've got to take the leap of faith a little bit, and we've already talked half a dozen times about that, acting on the drones and so on. This rehost, this reset, could actually be beneficial for Wind and Rain because they looked like they were kind of digging their own graves deeper and deeper, and now maybe they can get a bit of mental fortitude going on, hype themselves up a little bit. The game's not lost yet. It's not over.
Oh, far
they
from
can
it.
get themselves definitely back in. If they can get this last round on attack and they can get themselves on the defensive side, we could easily see it go back to a 6-6.
Yeah, they could easily get themselves to a 4-2 scoreline and have a great second half. When it comes to how they're going to play the second half, I don't want to go back into prediction territory, right? They could have brilliantly thought out, perfectly executed defense strategies for Coastline. That may be why they're struggling so much on attack. There was so much effort into defense, but they weren't quite ready and they hadn't quite done their attack yet. So maybe they see that come out in the second half and to blow us away and go 6-0 and just dominate that half. We'll see, we'll see. But with attack, as I mentioned and as you said, a little bit tighter, a little more cohesive. The split idea, and some people joining upstairs and we're clearing upstairs, some people joining downstairs. Pick one, stick to it, do it quicker as a group, make it all clean, and then head on down. Yes, Chermi is proving to be a bit slippery at the moment, but you are droning him, you are finding him, you are engaging him in fights, but as you mentioned, they definitely seem to be scared of some of these fights. They definitely aren't in position fast enough for some of these fights. And the amount of times that we see teams, you'll run a drone and Ash is 3 steps behind it. She doesn't have to be far. Hayes doesn't seem to have the confidence anymore to play that role, to follow their role. These drones are getting there, and Chermi's not afraid to shoot them and then turn and run, because he knows that he's got the time to shoot this drone and then turn and run. And then he knows where Wind and Rain are going to be coming from. If you get him once by having Ash right behind that drone, he looks to shoot the drone, turns to run away, and he's shot in the back instantly. You've now got this map back in play. The rest of the West of Epsilon have been playing on site, have been playing a bit more static, and they've not had too much of a time getting in to take them out. Hayes hasn't had the issues aggressively peeking site. We saw him take down Madman in Kitchen. We saw him follow it up with a couple more as well. Prorio trying a similar play in sitting in Sunrise Bar and sitting more statically in there, trying to delay them with the Legion. Got surrounded and got taken out. They don't seem to be too worried about the rest of them, but Chermi is really messing with Wind and Rain's head.
Yeah, there's so much to say about Chermi as well. You know, his gun skill and movement just, complements the things he does. When he, doesn't think about rotating too much, even though he's getting picked up by the Jackal and all these bits and pieces. He always makes sure that every kind of scenario he's in, his self-discipline as well as his confidence really shows him how much of a great player he's been. And I think he's got at least 12 frags now on the board, and it's still the first half.
Yeah, and we saw initially Hayes was the one who was coming out on top, 5 kills in the first 2 rounds, and he's just... You have someone on the server sometimes who's just got an aura about them, and sometimes they develop it mid-game, and Shermie's done that. They just really, they're stuck. They're actually going after him, like they're proactively chasing him. It's like, we need to kill this person, because this person is like winning, making us lose rounds, winning them all for Epsilon. But yeah, there's not coming in. I don't know if we need an operator lineup change of some sort.
I don't think it's not pro lineup change. I think it's to say either more aggression, quicker behind drones, staying more tight knit, or even as I'm thinking back to it now, it's just more utility usage. I haven't seen anyone try and throw a flashbang into a room these in. I haven't seen, we had, say, Vex was the one that was fighting him a couple of times. Vex was the one that was above the hatch that he caught Pixel of. If Vex, he was sitting there and he was trying to hold it, he was waiting for the rest of the team to come in. He has a fear. Chuck a concussion grenade into it. Find out if he's actually still in the room. Find out how close he might be. Watch for it to blow up on the proximity charge. Get that information back. And even if you're then not willing to push behind it until your team's back, at least you know, and he's not going to be able to aggressively peek you because he's now concussed or because he's now unsure. But they're not doing any of that. They're just sitting there and waiting to get everyone in the perfect spot, so then push in as a 5-man. The one time we saw them use a flashbang to get in, it was into the kitchen site when it was 2v2. Shermie was the last man on site as mute, and Hibana throws that flashbang in and hits him. And suddenly they walk in and he doesn't know what's going on, and they manage to take him down and take the 2 out and come back to win that round after taking Astro out afterwards. But I don't remember having seen them use any other flashbangs or any other utility to displace or move out any of the defenders.
Yeah, utility usage is so important, and even if you execute it correctly, you know, if you're not going to actually go into the site and actually help things out, then, you know, these kind of scenarios, you know, it would be very successful. But if they don't use it, then there's not really much room for opportunity to try and get onto these sites. We do have a few players still waiting to actually join the game, but it'll only be a few moments until they join back anyway to finish this match. And so you were talking about before, where if they do take this last round and a half, then at least it will help this team, this Wind and Rain squad, kind of reset their mentality to a certain extent.
Yeah, they need it. They need to bring that confidence going into the second half. I think if they go down 1-5, it's going to be an uphill battle no matter what. But like just mentally, they need to have something that's going to reinforce them as a team. I am concerned if they can't get anything strong going in this attacking round. Like if they just get sweeped in this last attacking round, then I'm really seeing it's going to be a blowout.
No, I agree. In the mentality game, especially whatever's caused this timeout, it's obviously a shame to break momentum and something, but hopefully they go back, they reset, they chat to each other, they get themselves on the same page again, they build themselves up, and they come back in this next line going, all right, we'll get this last one, we'll fall to the half, we'll feel great about it, we'll feel good about it, we'll play back in our game, we'll not be scared of Shermie anymore, we'll play our way. But if that doesn't work, if they do lose it anyway, if they go down 5-1, it has the potential to go catastrophically down the other end and crush them. And then we had this reset, we had this talk, we felt like we were great, we felt like we're back in the zone, and it still just fell away underneath.
Did you have some of these experiences on the weekend at all?
No, I played fantastically all weekend, and I was unstoppable. There was nothing wrong with that.
Oh, there's nothing wrong at all, especially if you're doing it, of course. But don't worry, guys, we've still got one more person waiting for, and then we'll continue this match very shortly. Now, we spoke about it before. Now, we'll not go to the group standings, but speaking about the group just as a whole. Now, if Wind and Rain do loses to Epsilon, that's going to seriously change things with the point difference and how everything's panned out. Because Unnamed, we spoke about before the first match was actually played, they're at that bottom spot. And even though they had a very good match in their last game as well, you know, they should be at least level margin with all the rest of the teams. But if Wind and Rain loses, you know, it's blowed wide open.
Yeah, this group is already going to be a tight one, and if this result keeps going this way, it could be even tighter again. And not only do those points then make a big difference, the round win-loss could make a huge factor in deciding this group as we get later in the season. And if Wind and Rain continue to lose this one this hard, that round win-loss is not looking good for them either.
No, it's not looking good at all, because the round difference between each of these teams is so close. I think it was like +2-1-1 for the top 3 teams, and Unnamed was -5. That could be -2 now overall. So it's going to make things a lot harder. But that round difference, I spoke about it last bit, but this week, as the weeks go on, it's getting harder and harder for these teams. And it may come to a point where they have to beat some of these twice on the trot when they actually do rematch each other in the later weeks as well. Group A is a lot more predictable, as what we know from the placements and their teams here. But this Group B, I don't think many people predicted how it was going to turn out now. And with Wind and Rain losing this to Epsilon, it's even worse.
Yeah, I mean, it's all blown wide open if Wind and Rain lose this. Absolutely anything can happen. Obviously, every win's going to be important in terms of painting that story for the specific team, but all of a sudden other teams are looking like, oh, if they lose and we haven't had a good start to this, to Prem, Vexed probably looking at it as well. It's like, we kind of hope that Wind and Rain lose this because it makes our job a little bit easier moving to those late stages of the season. So I think, yeah, some teams are looking at it very differently to others.
That's right. And for the match coming up, of course, it's still 4-1 in favour of Epsilon. A few technical hitches here and there, which is occurring as we speak. But join us back in a few minutes and we'll go straight back into that game.
Think she can't get a last-second clutch? Watch this. Think he can't carry his team while streaming in high resolution? All the while recording a once-in-a-lifetime win? Watch this. Think leveling up only happens in-game? Watch this. On Intel Core i7, they'll rise to every challenge. Now it's your turn. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Rainbow Six Siege Premiership powered by Intel. Now, the last game was a few technical difficulties, but we realised that it is going to be a forfeit. So Epsilon will be taking that 7-1 in total, which is a shame, but these things happen. It can't be helped, but what can you do? But we will be going to our third match anyway, joined by, of course, Panky and Zoot again, with Who Knows versus FlyLo. But Zoot, I can tell you want to say something.
I mean, I just want to talk about Wind and Rain, and also about how powerful I am. Because I cursed them so hard that one of their players disconnected their computer, crashed, and they couldn't get back into the game, that they had to forfeit. So I'm sorry, Wind and Rain, that happened to you guys. But
Brave taking credit for that.
Okay. I mean, I feel like, look, it's honestly, there's been so many coincidences and everything that I've casted so far that I just feel like I've made an impact immediately. And I will take blame on behalf of whatever happened to Wind and Rain there.
Right.
So
all the Wind and Rain fans can just...
Yeah, I can be the punching bag. That's okay.
See, this is the stuff Zoot can do, and he's in it for the first week, so imagine what he'll do next time. Some crazy, crazy stuff. But okay, next match, the third one. Who Knows versus FlyLo. Another match which is very exciting to see. Two lower tier teams in this Group A, as you can see, fighting for that third place playoff, I think we can assume, to say the least. But now it's going to be very difficult. This is a team where either one of them could make to the playoffs, and it's quite unpredictable. So we're going to go to the first roster, which we're going to take you through in a second. And it's going to be a very interesting one. But Panky, if you want to take me through the Who Knows roster.
Who Knows is Ghost, Penguin, No Thumbs, Nathan, and Epsilon. It's... As you said, these two rosters, you know, they're in the toughest group. They have not had opening weeks that they should be particularly proud of. They're clearly, you know, the weaker squads in the Prem, and they're struggling, but they're learning as they go. This is their chance to, you know, properly get some points on the board and go somewhere. But can't really lie to the fact that it is very possibly going to be a series of semi-coordinated mistakes stumbling from round to round.
You're very complimentary.
I'm hoping to be,
so nice.
you know, hoping to be proved wrong. I'm hoping that someone comes out of the game swinging and blowing us all away with how they play. Like I want nothing more than that. But yeah, they are, you know, they're the bottom of the group, and they've had rough opening weeks and not great scorelines for a reason. But I do hope they've learned from that.
No, absolutely. There's definitely some weeks for them to forget. I personally quite like Who Knows. Maybe I've just got some emotional tie to them.
You've got a soft spot.
I do. They've been very supportive to me when I've been getting on with my work with those the ESL Go 4s, the Challenger League qualifiers. They're a great bunch of guys.
Yeah.
I think No Thumbs is a fantastic leader as well for them. So we'll see. They had some difficult tests to go up against. You're being tested hard, and if you're going up against M&M and Secret, it's easy to look bad, right?
Even qualifying for the Prem in the first place is an achievement, right? Like, I'm not trying to take anything away from them. Like, getting here is quite something. So
yeah,
great job on that. But yeah, when you're now here, the competition, it levels up a little bit more, and they're not quite there from what we've seen so far.
Well,
this is a new week.
What I'll agree with you on, though, is on the FlyLo side, I feel like Who Knows always puts up a fight, right? They're always gunning for it. I wasn't so impressed by FlyLo in the first week. I thought that was a little more unforgivable, but they've stepped it up a bit. They went against Secret. It's getting better.
Oh no, I absolutely agree there. Now, speaking of FlyLo, we are going to go through their roster, and like you mentioned before, the first match wasn't too good. Second one also wasn't too good. Even though they did get a couple of rounds on the board, I saw this team and I noticed some vague improvements. Still playing quite passive in terms of how they do, but through this roster, what else do you reckon they can do to topple Who Knows?
I really think they've just got to take it as seriously as possible. Every single official match is a opportunity to be learning, to be improving, to be getting ready for the game afterwards as well. There's a long league. There's a lot of matches to be played, and I think you've got to build good habits for yourself. And I know, just to go through the roster, we've got Speeds, Trixton, Joshua, Quicks, and Joker. Just some good cohesion and some sensible attacks. Not too many run-outs. I know Trixton was part of the God Save Our Queen squad. I'm not sure how many of those habits have been transferred anymore, but you know, I really think they've got a lot of opportunities to impress today compared to what we've seen.
Yeah, this FlyLo team, at least we've seen some sign of improvement going through the weeks. if these two teams play against each other straight away, I reckon it would be a slightly different outcome. But now they played M&M and Secret, both of them in the first 2 matches, they've had enough time, not just to prepare, but to settle into the Prem, get used to how things work, and now this is kind of the match for them to kind of push on with. You know, that third place playoff is so important, considering how the Group B standings will look, which we will check out later on. And it's going to be, you know, it's a big talking point. This is why it's one of the other big matches to see. Even though it's some of the lower tier teams, it's definitely very important, but both these squads can get that first win on the board.
Sometimes bottom of the table clashes can provide some of the most exciting games. They may not be, as we said, the tier top pinnacle of Siege, but they are still fun and exciting to watch. And as we mentioned, they've had tough opening weeks. This is the time to showcase what you've learned in those weeks. This is the time to showcase how much you've improved because of those games, and to give yourself that platform and to give yourself that springboard to launch yourself into the second half of this season with a strong start. One of these two teams should come out of here with a win. It shouldn't end up in a draw. I think they both should be looking, of course, for that victory. They both got the potential to, they both got the skill to. They just need to bring it out on the day. Again, the map, I feel, is going to come down to it very importantly, because obviously with the way the Siege works, with the way the maps work, with the way that everyone is played in such a different way, you're going to have natural tendencies to perform better on one or another. You're going to have more comfort on one map over another. Whichever map leans, now I'm not going to predict which is what, but whichever one this game lands on, whoever is favoured in that more over the other, I think will give a much bigger advantage here than it perhaps would if we look at, you know, Secret versus M&M, where they have so much knowledge and so much comfort on all of the maps that it comes down to a more case-by-case basis, whereas here the map could swing it much more heavily in one favour.
Yeah, with these two teams, the only advantage they had against Secret and M&M is that they don't know what their favourite map picks are. They don't know exactly how they play down to a T. Didn't really help them too much, no matter how standard or what strategies they have. But now, with FlyLo, do you think they may have made enough improvement to take on this Who Knows squad? Or do you think Who Knows, you know, their work ethic and their discipline may just be a little bit too much?
I think it's up in the air, and the information that we can take from the last 2 weeks of games is that these two teams are very different to M&M and Secret. It's a tough test to go against, especially if you haven't played teams of that caliber a lot in practice, for instance. Going up against each other now, I think it's going to be far easier to be prepared for this. So I think we're actually going to see, as you've mentioned already, we're going to see a fun game, I'm pretty certain. I'm not going to make predictions this time. Just, you know,
so as to not curse anyone else.
Exactly, because it's clearly in my power, but, you know.
Yeah, you need to control this power you have, mate, because, you know, if it's going to be the same as last game, then you shouldn't make any more predictions
onwards. Transform into something for, you know, for positive, for good.
What, positive vibes?
Yeah, something that can help the world.
Maybe,
no.
Maybe.
No.
You're more than welcome to try, but I don't think anyone else would. But of course, we will be going to the picks and bans very shortly, as well as the game. So with Who Knows, I don't really know too much about this squad in general. I've seen them play a little bit. I've seen FlyLo, how they made some kind of improvements. Have you seen Who Knows in kind of any improvements they've made going through each week, or have they been playing just very standard and very similar and not really too much changes?
Yeah, honestly, like, I don't know the roster too in depth. There's a couple of familiar names, and there's a couple of names and faces that I recognize. But when it comes to their play in the previous couple of weeks, there's not been any clear progression that I've picked up. As I mentioned, the map changes mix it up completely. Their operator choices, while being semi-consistent what each one likes to play, they've been using them in very different ways and different roles from round to round and game to game. And as you mentioned specifically with FlyLo, there's some crazy stuff that they've been trying to work out and try to bring out. So when it comes to Who Knows, I think, especially in this game, consistency could well be their friend. Like, stick to one idea, stick to one or two strategies, and focus on making those work. That could well be the key to what it takes to taking home at least this one map. Once you've got that solid base, you go from there. If you're trying to work on 12 things at once, they're all going to take a long time and potentially never reach peak. If you work on, say, 2 things, you get those 2 things up to where they need to be, and you have that place to stand from.
And we'll see if that works. And now we do have the map picks and bans to see exactly which map where we play on this match. And Consulate once again. And are you surprised by any of the bans and picks?
Can't say that I am, really.
No, I'm still never casted a Villa game. Just
looks like it's going to stay that way.
It's not a particularly popular map once you hit down a few tiers. Like the tier ones, the higher tier teams, they like it. Obviously G2 had a big of a penitence for a while because they got in and practiced it before anyone else and had that on lock. But everyone else has started to figure it out a little bit more, and now we've started to realize that it's not as well of a balanced map as we would
I think a
like.
best of threes maybe is more likely as well.
Yeah, the best of threes obviously has a more of a chance to bring it in, but I still think if you're looking at Clubhouse, Coastline, Oregon as the other three options, all three are more favoured and more likely to be played by anyone these days than Villa, really.
And what's your opinion on this map? Because we've already seen it once before. Do you reckon it's a good map for both these teams to go into?
I think so. I think personally, from my new stance, I think it's a map that you have to have some grounding on it of some sort. You have to have some formulated strategies, and you have to have your set default position. So I do expect them both to be very well prepared for this.
I hope so as well. Of course, we see some of these maps, and we've seen a lot of Coastline over the last few weeks. We've seen some Board as well, and last week as well. But we've seen a lot more Consulate in this map pool. Now, with FlyLo, some people say they're more of a mixed team, but I thought Who Knows might be as well, but I could be completely wrong.
I wouldn't call them so much of a mixed team, right? They are a steady roster, and they are a steady group of people that play together. I don't know how much they practice and how much they train, but in terms of how they play, in terms of their style, once you're in the map and in the game, you could be forgiven for thinking they're more of a mixed roster. They clearly don't have as many or as clearly defined strategies in mind. They clearly don't have a team of analysts or coaches behind them that are really drilling these strategies into them, which is the sort of thing that, as I mentioned earlier, Consulate really benefits from. It can become a very hectic map if everyone's running around doing their own thing, which is what we saw in some of the opening rounds of our first game, David Unnamed and Vexed. Coming through later on, we start to see players get a little bit more disciplined, a little more static, but in games like this, with teams that hopefully aren't as practiced, that aren't as structured, and with communication that's a little bit more flexible, things can get hairy very quickly, and then we're starting to see how each round bounces off the next one, because you're going to look for teams that start to scramble. You're going to look for teams that are like, okay, that one didn't work. Try and figure it out as why on the fly. Was it our strategy, but we didn't really have one? Well, okay, we'll try it again, hope they do the same thing again, and bounce from there. And that's when things start to get really sloppy, and I'd like to hope that we don't see that.
Yeah, I hope not as well. And both these teams haven't played this map yet, so in the past weeks they wouldn't have picked up any strategies, any tactics, any little kinks here and there, their play styles. The only thing they can go by is the play styles from the previous games, but do you reckon that's even enough to see exactly what they can do?
I think the best thing they can do is look at the VODs of the previous weeks. How did they get defeated? What was taking them out so convincingly? I think it's very possible to replicate strategies. Execution, aim, mechanical skill, that's a different question. But setups and so on, and actually understanding, there is some, there's a wall of information here that we just didn't have. We need to build on that. We need to start picking it up. There's plenty of stuff they could have taken from those games, and who knows, in the next few weeks we could see them bring in much closer games to that M&M and to Team Secret. But I will be very, very surprised if we don't see improvements from them.
Yeah, because like I mentioned before, in previous weeks, they can pick up little things like what kind of operators they ban, but again, that's based on map pick as well, so it's very, very difficult. Probably more play styles. But in this match, I know you said you don't want to predict because it's always very, very close. It's probably more you wanted to... Well, actually, you've been predicting a little bit more often than we saw what happened last time, actually. Yeah. But do you have any rough predictions as what could happen? Not just happen in-game, but
rough prediction
in terms of rounds.
For me. Or just as long as it's rough,
we'll give
really
you a
like
rough
explicit.
prediction this time round after the last match. But is there any rough prediction in terms of not just round score, but who could potentially take this game whilst we wait to go into the match?
I would lean on the side of Who Knows, personally. That's as rough as I'm getting, or as explicit.
It's very difficult, isn't it? Because to predict a game like this where, we know some of the players, but in terms of the team as a whole, there wasn't really too much to take from those M&M and Secret matchups, which obviously we saw in previous weeks.
I would not be surprised to see this game land on a draw, if I'm completely honest. Looking at the track record, looking at the previous games, looking at the way inexperienced teams tend to fare when they clash, it does come down to a very back and forth structure in rounds to rounds, and ends up 3-3 on the half and then 3-3 in the end. Again, I'd like to see one of these teams having picked up just enough, or having learned just enough from previous, that they can break that deadlock and smash themselves into just a little bit of a buffer and potentially clinch the whole game, of clinch all 3 points. But yeah, if we end up 6-6, wouldn't be too surprised.
Could be kind of exciting though if we get a 6-6.
Yeah, no, it could well be.
Because later on it's going to make it even more nail-biting when we have to find out that third place is in the group.
Well, this is my point. You know, this is one of the matches where I've been really looking forward to. It doesn't matter how high or low tier the teams are, like you mentioned before. It's going to be a very close match, and I actually look forward to it. But normally you get some weeks where you think, oh, that one's definitely the one, oh, that one's definitely one. But all four, apart from the Sequel and M&M, of course, it's more favourable, is the one to most look forward to. But I've got a surprise for you all at home. We still have more technical difficulties in this game. But when we get actually more information on the matter, we'll be back after the break to get this match underway. Welcome back to the Rainbow Six Siege ESL Premiership powered by Intel. Now, this last match was actually supposed to be played. There's still some technical hitches. So FlyLo will actually win this match by default win. So we will be going to the fourth match, which will be Team Secret versus Eminem, which will be showing up at 9:30. So we're going to go into a break and we'll come back and we'll see you then. And we're back with the Rainbow Six Siege ESL Premiership powered by Intel. Of course, still joining me, Panky and Zoot, and we finally get a match underway.
He hasn't started yet. Don't get too excited.
Oh yeah. Well, unless I say to Zoot a prediction. Yeah, let's make it third match in a row. Why not? Team Secret versus Eminem. This is the match we've been waiting for since before week 1 even began, and now it's finally here. Bit earlier than expected, but a match we're really looking forward to nonetheless. Now, for this match, it's going to be extremely close. We know how good Team Secret are, one of the favourites coming into this, not just from last season, but this season as well. Eminem, a little bit, you know, higher up due to the fact that Eminem, they've just won Epic 26. Feeling quite comfortable right now, feeling good about themselves, you know.
Well, they had to beat some tough competition to get there for that.
Oh, of course, yeah. You know, I'm not. His words, not mine. Just, just to let you know. But
I didn't even play him.
No, exactly. This is it. This is it. But this match, you know, we've all been waiting for this. Everyone at home, us. Definitely something to really look forward to. Not just the changes in Group A, for who's going to fight for that top spot for the offline finals, but just overall.
Yeah, no, as you say, this is the big game to come down to. Eminem are looking stronger than ever. They've now finally signed their 5th in and got themselves locked on a roster with Kendrew joining them. Secret's still looking for that long-term 5th, but with Bledmer filling in, he seems to fit their roster very well. He's obviously got along with the players very nicely. He's played with them for a couple of weeks now and is doing fantastically within that lineup for them. He had a couple of moments in the highlight clips of last week's games as well. So they are by no means a roster to be written off because they're still looking to replace Lackey, and they are, if anything, as strong as ever.
Well, speaking of rosters, we are going to go straight to that Team Secret roster to see which players will be playing tonight. Now, Panky, if you can take us through the names, please.
Yeah, as if they need any introduction. Team Secret then is, of course, Meepy, Leon Gids, Steez, LMs, and Plebma there to round it all out.
And as you know, Eminem roster is a very strong one. We've had some changes, but we're going to see exactly how they're going to pan things out. The roster will be something very shortly. Here it is, like I mentioned before, Epic 26, they've come off on a win on that, so feeling good about themselves coming into this match.
Yeah, absolutely. Doki, Fonkers, Citizen, Nilo, Kendrew, as you've already mentioned, has just been locked in as their sort of full-time 5th now. There's been a lot of switching up and things going on. I think Tank Ninjas was playing with them, and we've mentioned it all today already. Gig, the coach, was playing. They had Prox before that, which is the guy who left while they were chopping and changing things around. It's exciting to see if they can have that honeymoon period right off the bat, especially going up versus Secret, but I'm still excited for like some of the core members that have been in there already a bit of time. Citizen, I think, is absolutely fantastic. I am a massive fanboy, so I'm hoping. I know on the Team Secret you've got the likes of Leon Gids to look out for, but Citizen can do some absolutely insane stuff, and this would be a great time to step up, whether you're Citizen, whether you're anybody else on the Eminem roster.
Yeah, one thing I want to take into account as well is that this is just a league match in the group, so will either of these teams maybe saving strategies for the finals? Could they be playing a little bit more standard just to not to give anything away? There's so many questions we need to ask, not just with Eminem, but both of these teams. It's very hard to actually dispute. But with Secret, we know how strong they are. You know the heavy favourites coming into this, not just from last season, but this season as well. What do you think Team Secret are going to be like? They've had a slight lineup change, as we know, from Lackey being replaced by Plebman. But the only problem is the fact that have they had enough time to be able to prepare for a match like this?
Well, that's the thing. We don't really know what they're going to be like. Well, we can have an educated guess, right? We can look at how they played before. We look at where they played, and ideally, like when you place a player like Lackey, you don't, mix everything up and change it from there. You replace him with someone who plays similarly, but complements the rest of your players in a new way and in a different way. You play, or you brick someone in, you move someone from the old roster into Lackey's spot, someone that knows it, and you bring a new player in that fills that old role instead. Something there. You don't completely whitewash and go back to the drawing board. You play with your own strategy, you play with your own ideas, but you find that puzzle piece that fits in to the gap that's been left behind. Is Plebman that puzzle piece? Possibly not. That's why they're looking for another proper full-time perhaps. But he could also have settled nicely into where they need him to be. In terms of what we're then going to see, obviously it comes down to the map again, of course. It comes down to how that map needs to be played and how well this current roster of 5 can play it and will play it. From what we've seen in the previous few weeks, it's not crazy out there different to what we saw before. The other 4 are that comfortable with themselves and with their strategies and with what they know that they can keep playing in a similar fashion. They can keep playing where they are. And Plebmer is just that skilled and that experienced enough that he can kind of mix around and weave in and out of it where it has been and needs to be, and is just a good enough mechanical player to just sit where he needs to be. If he's told, sit here, do this, he will do that as well as, or as good as anyone else could for the duration of that round until it's needed somewhere else.
Now, these two teams have played each other in the past, and I think that was a draw in last season. They didn't play each other in the offline finals, but they did in the league match. But the lineups have changed considerably since. But do you feel like M&M, with their lineup changes, is actually stronger compared to last season and could put up more of a fight against Secret? Or do you think they're still going to slightly struggle?
I think the proof is in the pudding, really.
Yeah.
And we're still getting to that stage right now. We know that they've got some really good changes. I know that Doki joined the M&M roster since the last season anyway.
Great pickup.
Doki, fantastic back. He's an incredibly emotional player. If you can get him on a good start in a game, you have no idea what kind of momentum you're able to carry later on into the game. But now with a fresh roster change, we're going to find out when it starts. I think we'll probably know fairly soon if it's positive or not.
Yeah, it's just going to be a flavour of what's to come, but we do have the map picks and bans to see exactly which map they'll be playing on in this match. And it will be Villa. We were talking about it before. We haven't had Villa played all weeks as of yet, and the one time it's going to be Villa, it's going to be now. What do you think of this map pick?
Well, as I mentioned when we were talking about earlier, right? Once you get to the higher tiers of teams, you start to see a little bit more often because you start to see the teams be a bit more comfortable with it. Teams have had more time to practice. They know the other maps better. They know the other maps inside out. They don't need to put as much time into those, so they can focus on the newer map, focus on the Villa that's a little bit different. It is so far proving to be heavily defensive-sided, and the bans will obviously make a big impact in where that goes to because of how influential some of these defensive operators can be and are. So where those land and how these teams shape them will be something to look at. But also, because of how strat heavy and how new this map could be, the new players could be an even bigger spanner in the works coming into a map like this.
And we do have the ban phase coming in now. Our final match of the evening, M&M Gaming versus Team Secret. The match we've been waiting for since the beginning of the season. Guys, take it away.
Absolute pleasure to be covering this game now with M&M and Team Secret just sorting out their bans at the moment. We've got Ying that is going to be out first from Secret. It looks like Jackal is going to be banned. I actually don't see Jackal banned all that often. I'm sure you can tell me otherwise.
No, there's a few key maps where you ban Jackal if you're going to ban Jackal. Maps like Bank, where it is already very big and very roam friendly. And if you want to be able to keep doing that, you take Jackal off the board. Villa is similar. It's not as sparse horizontally as Bank, but it has that extra floor and it has that these extra pathways in the small narrow areas that you can run around and roam around a little and be very quick to rotate in some situations. And Jackal obviously makes that much harder to do if you're being marked everywhere you go.
And we've got that mirror out, which is a formality, but right at the end, Team Secret is going to get rid of Echo. That's on the defensive side. It seems like just standard processes over there. It is going to be Team Secret on the defensive side to begin with. You got any are we going straight into, well, I think Kickstar calls it AVG?
It's possible, yeah.
Straight into it and then business, yeah, and it looks like that's what they selected.
Yeah, it's not too much of a surprise to see us land in there straight away. Definitely no surprise to see the Maestro picked on through. I was going to say surprised to see the Valkyrie, which is why it got switched off again, because she performs a very similar job to Maestro, but just not as well, because his is bulletproof. There's not as many places you can really hide her cameras as well, so you need them to be harder to take down, and Maestro cams often do that, so bring them both would have been a shock. That's why they're not doing it. As for the attacking lineup, looking at that from M&M, I do like it quite a bit.
Is it worth pointing at all the 6-pick Glaz into Thatcher? Is that anything to note for, just from a sort of mental way?
6-pick, once you're in these higher tiers, once you're in these top tiers of games, doesn't really bring a lot to the board. Most of the time, you're not changing your strategies that crazy when you're 6-picking, because the other 4 operators are so influential to each strat that when you do see a team show 5, it's like, okay, they can only change 1. What could that 1 change, really? Glaz does change a fair bit because he is such a strong solo pusher, because he has such an influential force when making his way into a room through smokes. To see him on the roster might have put a little something into Secret's mind, but ultimately not so much that they're going to have 6-picked or changed their strategy away from it. They're just going to be playing a little bit more scared at the start of this round, thinking every smoke has a Glaz behind it until they get confirmed otherwise. And that's not going to influence their like reinforcement layouts and their barbed wire layouts too much.
Well, we are now into the action phase of this, guys. It is Eminem Gaming versus Team Secret, and frags could be coming out at any moment now. With this aviator room and games room being covered from them, we've got a lot of them holding nearly onto the site right now. And let's see, I think Doki has moved up towards the classical hallway. I've got Nilo on the veranda, and they're just trying to make their way past into the classic hallway a little further. And let's see, with Citizens actually now made it into the study, that action really could break out at any moment. As a flash, there's a player just prone behind. Frag comes in, Stiz almost managed to take one down, but Doki, very nicely done from him. However, double trade out over there as Secret are going to be making their way well into this. Eminem struggling on the beginning of the round with versus Team Secret, but with Nilo and Citizen left, you never know what's going to happen with Citizen. Leon's getting himself on the board too, and he's actually lurking down in the library area. That roam can be absolutely devastating with so few players alive. You've got to have someone looking out behind, and Leon is still looking out main entrance. Oh, Nilo, if you look down a little bit, it's going to find some information. He's going to be able to find the player, has knocked him down. Diego can finally finish him off. Leon Gibbs is eventually going to fall. And now with plenty of time left, it's time to get back into it, connect with Citizen, work together moving onto this side. Let's see if Citizen can get a good start into round one. Almost connecting those shots. But Nilo is basically a dead man walking at the moment, the amount of health that he's got. Citizen now trying to approach from elsewhere. They do have a Claymore down on classical hallway, but no one's really pushing out. Those anchors on site, they're being smart, they're being sensible, they're being disciplined. But all of a sudden, you move forward a unit, Citizen steps foot onto a goo mine. Citizen going for just another little peek around the sides just to see if there's anyone lurking. It looks like they've got very limited information as to what's going on over here. That's why you're seeing these spams come out. Nilo's done some good damage over there, turned it into a 2 versus 2, but we've only got 20 seconds on the clock. Which way are they going to go? And if they go into games room, it's going to hurt a lot. They've elected to go into aviator. I think that's probably going to be the safest passage for them. It depends how many rotation holes they have. It looks like Citizen goes in first. Nilo's not able to refrag, and Meepy shuts down the last 2 frags for the round. So that's right, guys. We got Panky on the run around at the moment. I'm not blocking him out away from you guys, I promise at all. I think Lethal's going to be with me for just a second. But yeah, Team Secret with a solid first round. I like that Eminem were fighting all the way through that round, and they really try to make something of it at the end, but they're just starved for information by the end of it. We're now going to be able to move into round 2, and it looks as if we might have a clash. Leon Gibbs looking for 6-8 into Frost. Frost is actually one of my favorite operators.
Oh, is it?
Oh. Yeah. I mean,
I'm more of a Legion man.
I do love Legion as well, but with Frost, I was speaking as ironic quite a lot. He was educating me a bit when I was at the beginning of the grind and Siege, and saying at a high level, actually, people don't think about those welcome mats that often anymore. So that can catch you by surprise. Obviously, you expect the high level. People are conscious of everything. They got all that game knowledge. They know everything that's going on. But sometimes it just crosses your mind because Frost is not a super common pick. All of a sudden, that welcome mat, bam, you're going to, I don't know, walk over a step or hurdle over something, and it's just going to take you out.
Yeah, with the mats it depends where they're actually placed. A lot of the times it's more in an orthodox position we don't expect, and it's not really a common pick like you mentioned before. And even in that last round, I was so worried at one stage, even though they didn't have really too much health to actually execute some of those sites, it was great to see Meepy with such good patience executing that, just being very passive, making sure not to try and roam about to find the remaining 2 players, and he played for time very well to finish things up.
Well, that's what I'm expecting from these teams, is a lot of discipline. Not people. Sometimes you're seeing those players, but players are just getting a little bit curious. It's like, what happens? I just get this bit of information, I can go for that peak headshot. Oh, it's going to be great if I manage to land these amazing shots on the enemy. But you play it safe. You force the attackers to take those risks, and then you see what happens after. We do have statuary and trophy that are currently being held by Team Secret. I think I'm seeing on the 6 material some mad frag grenades that have been taken down, bandit batteries. It just fresh in my mind having been watching it yesterday, but we don't have a bandit to worry about on this occasion. Leon Gids here is one of my man to watch. He's just been absolutely phenomenal. And look at that, just a slick headshot onto Nilo.
Some great stuff by him. Another one taken down. That's going to be 3v4 now in favour of Secret. Already trying to find some more information what's going on, but Plebberman gets another one on the board. Already things having straight off the bat. Leon being very patient here just to try and figure out what's actually going on around it. But Kendrick gets another one on his own. So it's like come back here, but right now Leon's got such a great angle on Kendrick.
But they should know that he's around here at this point. He's already picked someone out. And another player did get punished. Players walk through. That is Citizen trying to go for a bit of a hero play, but there isn't a flanker, and Leon Gids just going to spam through, take down Kendra as well. Phenomenal round from him. Everything is starting to look a little bit simple for Team Secret right now. Eminem are going to have to change some things up a little bit. I feel like they're going for these aim battles. They need to kind of cave in onto Team Secret a bit. They've got to be incredibly intelligent, I think, and not try and... You don't want to fight Leon Gids in just an aim battle like that.
No, it's not really something I'd like to do on a Wednesday night, in all fairness. It's it's one of those things. But when you saw those two players from Eminem, they're in a great position to, you know, kind of get a crossfire going and enter that section at the exact same time. I'm sure someone must have called out Leon there, but his patience, his discipline, just sitting on that site, making sure that no one could actually come through, was great plays by him. You know, with veteran experience, and that's why he is one of the top fraggers we know.
Protect your bombs from being defused by
You
attackers.
can see that Unnamed has actually gone for a Valk on this occasion. We are going to be downstairs this time, so the kitchen, dining area. So I imagine they're going to want a bit of presence upstairs, or statue, bathroom and master as well. Try and slow down those pushes. Look for some of those rotations as well, going via astronomy, but they're going to need their anchors there as well. I suspect that Plebma is going to be definitely there. Also, we'll have the smoke too, going to be getting in on the action. And I feel like
10 seconds
lethal.
to insertion.
Sub in, sub out, let's go.
5 seconds left before
New head.
insertion.
Okay. All right, apologies. Thank you, Lethal, for filling in. Right at the start of round 3. Nicely done. Secret 2-0 up. Tell me, Zoo, how did they do it?
So just to fresh you up, the hold in AVG was actually pretty close. Citizen managed to make it incredibly close. I think it was with Nilo actually. There was a 2 versus 5. They made it into a 2 versus 2,
Ooh.
but they did get taken down. The hold that they had over in Statuary and Trophy though for Secret, that was far more simple. Leon Gids was just destroying everybody from the master bedroom.
All right, now they're down into the kitchen, things get a little bit more complicated. It's one of those sites that works in these kind of organized play, but falls apart very quickly when you're playing in ranked, and it's important to hold the upstairs floors for that reason. Long angle here that Plebma is actually challenging, is going to pay a large price for 3/4 of his health with it. Upstairs, meanwhile, though, Leon is doing his job and holding firm, taking Fonkers down before falling back and away. There is a downed single player here on Secret, but they don't obviously know this yet. No point markers here for Eminem, so they won't be sure. LMs crawls away, and Leon's there to take Doki out as he hunts that downed Valkyrie. Looking for the next one, though. Oh, Leon perfectly played against Kendrew. Knew there'd be one more. He could hear there being one more. Potentially had cameras for further information and was aware that someone else would come hunting it and was waiting for that too. But Nello quickly answers with Leon and Plebma back inside the main site. A Citizen now comes down this same staircase and actually wins that fight against Meepy, putting us in a 2v2 situation.
You can see that brilliant coverage as well. Baiting out the down player too is fantastic, but we do see Eminem starting to wake up a little bit. We're back into his 2v2 scenario reminiscent of round 1, where Eminem very much have a chance in this with the Thatcher and Zofia still alive. And it's Nilo and Citizen yet again, actually, exactly the same that were in round 1.
Yeah, this is how these guys operate and how they set in their entry fraggers. Doki is always and largely up front for Eminem. Fonker's not too far behind. But it does ultimately mean that Citizen and LA are going to be largely left towards the end of the round. 50 seconds left now, and remember they're not going to have many drones left on the table. They are losing more with every second, as we just saw there, so they need to be aware of what kind of place they need to head.
Was not comfortable being there as Stiz was just covering that angle. Will be able to move away. There's gas grenade coming out. Player pinged out too. That's again going to starve a little bit more time. About 10 seconds on that gas grenade to wait for. And that's not going to leave much left. Secret have been a little bit more mobile in their defense compared to when they're holding Aviator and Games. I see 10 seconds. You've got to make a push soon. Unnamed is going to be able to shut down Nilo. Now all for Citizen to work with, but it's not going to matter. That is going to be Secret taking down a 3rd round in a row. But I feel like they're getting kind of closer to some extent. They're definitely challenging, but we can see these plays from Secret that I feel like Eminem are almost, okay, it's stupid to say underestimating, but that bait on the Valkyrie who was down and expecting someone to not be covering, I feel like maybe against another team you'd expect that to be a free kill, but they don't get is like, I'm going to make you pay. If you want this kill, then you're going to have to work super hard for it.
Yeah, there it comes down to, as you say, it's not quite underestimating so much as it is you've got to take that gamble, right? You go down and say, all right, there's a player down, we got that confirmed. First guy, yeah, he lost that fight, it sucks. Second guy, you go down, you know he's already low health from the first fight, you should win that. You should win that firefight every day of the week. You want to come out of it super healthy, but you should win that firefight unless he gets a headshot. And Leon didn't get a straight headshot, so like there was an opportunity there, but the shots just got missed, and it's just not quite right. And Eminem perhaps need to find a little bit more of a groove and settle in, but there were some of those firefights that they definitely should have been winning. But then at the same time, Nello picking up that double kill in sight quickly afterwards. There are some fights that they are pulling off and doing quite well on. So they're by no means down and out of this yet. And now they've had a feel and a tease of every site that Secret have to offer and every hold that Secret have to offer. So you mentioned this site came down to the wire already once. That last site, to be fair, was a fairly close one in the last few seconds. It's just they were lacking on utility to gather information as they finally pushed in there as a 2. This could be the chance here now for Eminem to swing one back.
Yeah, we got Meepy downstairs. Last time we also had Leon that was roaming around quite a bit. Lems has also been moving over towards the opposite side of the map. And we'll see soon what side Eminem elects to attack from, as we see 3 players there moving from south side. Funkers is up at the top. What would you say is the best kind of like route for Eminem to take in order processes that they need to clear out? Do they go straight here into the study, or are they looking to clear out the bottom floor first? Well, Meepy and Stiz seem to be currently holding.
They're playing very aggressively here in 90 because you can cover that door, cover the office area and the study area from quite a distance away. Stop them from coming inside. You can also very quickly rotate all the way around the back and head that direction if the core comes in. They are from a different end. But it does look like Eminem are trying to brute force their way in through this office front. Leon is downstairs. They do need to pay attention to someone down there and make sure he doesn't come up that staircase behind them later on. But for now, everyone's outside and everyone's in positions where he won't really be too much of a factor at this point. They have now realized they're not getting into that office anytime soon. It's not free for movements. They've got one person down here watching the long angle that Leon may be about to walk across.
And he's putting his batteries down again.
The flashbangs are trying to go out and the EMPs are trying to go out on top, so they can't hear these get placed. So they don't know where they are sitting so as to avoid the batteries. The grenade goes up and over to try and bait one out, but he still gets back in time. Oh, not quite. That was so close to lay that second battery down. So they do get a prone hole in, but LMs can stay there and hold it. Anyone that creeps past there is going to be careful of their shins. But there's a couple of different sight lines into it from the defenders inside, and because it hasn't opened up too much for them to worry about, they can comfortably sit here and stare at it.
Kendrick's got an idea of what's going on at the moment.
Oh, perfect timing.
Wow.
The Havana charge is going down just to force him to move, and again, he could have stayed an extra half a second and Doki would have thrown into his sight, but lucky timing in some part by Doki, thinking, all right, he's had just enough time that he's probably scared now and he's probably about to start to move away, and he was right. As soon as he started standing up, then Doki lay down and managed to pick up the first kill of the round. But with 45 seconds to go, there's still a lot of work here for Eminem to do, and Meepy makes it even harder by taking Doki out. They don't, they also still have 3 smoke grenades.
Got another player moving now into classic hallway. Stiz falling back into vaults now. Nobody engaged him, and Nilo is going to be able to pick up Meepy. We've got a flurry of kills happening once again. It is going to put Eminem at a slight advantage, but that advantage is already dissipated. Funkers, though, takes down Stiz. We've got just Plepmer alive, but Eminem now on the board. Funkers, huge frags right at the end of this round.
As soon as you lost control of that bar end of that bomb site, then you could just start getting swarmed by M&M. As soon as they had to fall back into the vault because of that extra prone hole, M&M could just start to surround the site and really put some pressure on, knowing exactly where everyone in Secret was forced to be, knowing exactly which kind of angles they were forced to be held. They could pre-fire them down, and they were doing great to pick up the kills they did. A couple of moments where Secret were pushing out and might have been able to trade some back, and did trade a couple of rounds back, but quick reactions from Fonkers on the other side was there to cut them back down again and level things back out. And there it is. As M&M, they had a read on what Secret were going to do. They had a plan for how they were going to take it down, and they did it very, very well.
So as I gather, Villa has got one of the most defender-sided stats of any map at the moment. I think it's over 60% defender-sided. So things aren't unusual right now. Team Secret getting all those round wins so far. It doesn't matter if it was convincing or not. Right now, it's playing by the numbers. We're expecting Secret probably to pick up another one, and I guess another 2 isn't, you know, crazy.
Yeah, 2's not crazy surprising, and it's nothing to be worried about if you're M&M. If you lose the next 2, it's nothing to freak out about. Getting 1 is a nice round to have on the board, and can set you up for a comfortable defense. Of course, if they can level it out, go 3-3 on the half, that would be fantastic for them.
That'd be insane.
But yeah, as I missed the last attack on this round, we'll have to see what it is that Secret have up the sleeves and what it is that M&M have in mind to take it out. Once again, they are going for a very explosive, destruction-heavy lineup in both Ashe and Zofia, who do very similar jobs, both on their lineup. They also still have grenades here on Sledge, of course, but only the 1 round of hard breach on Hibana. Not a bad thing. There's not too many things you need to fully breach. You don't need to thermite any whole wall open, but with Hibana having those 3 new sight lines that you can open through reinforced walls, especially on this site, can really shape the way you hold after plant situations.
Presumably, though, they really need to get themselves into that master bedroom. There's a sort of anchor position. This is where Leon Gibbs was holding before with Frost. LMs also was holding in the closet. Managed, I think, actually got the kill to Kendrew last time round. It feels like it's going to be important for them to move into this area somehow to get any kind of anchor of control. Bonkers does actually manage to pick up a kill on Meepy.
Oh, this is good for M&M.
Whoa.
EMP'd it from outside to make sure they took down all his trophy systems. Flashbanged in triple just to make sure he was completely blind. Wow. Then jumped in to pick up the kill. Meanwhile, as you say, Meepy died elsewhere in a 1v1, I believe, with Fonkers. So suddenly Secret are not looking good on this hold. Again, they did once. They pulled it off. They had their setup. They've gone to do it again, but M&M read it very well from round to round and have a plan in place ready to take it out.
Now, how can you act from all of this good news from them?
Bomb located by
Who's holding in Statuary. Looks like we had a couple of the M&M players over towards the trophy side of things. Leon does manage to get a Nitro's kill just in time. Buck Doggy quickly trades it out. We see Plymouth also falling. Now Stiz on his own finds the diffuser carrier, but Fonkers with another angle. That is going to be M&M picking up another round. And this was the hold before that Team Secret just obliterated M&M on. So I wonder if they want to risk it again, or if they're going to go back over to Aviator Games, or, you know, they still want down in Kitchen.
There's 2 rounds in a row now where Fonkers has actually started to do quite a bit of work from a split push, from a side push onto Secret. They had their holds in place for 1 angle, and it started out, they were holding that well, but again, M&M figured that, the EMPs went down, the flashbangs went out, they took away that Jaeger in the closet, and even if that hadn't happened, Fonkers was still on the other side and was there ready to make his mark. He needs to be stopped. He beat Meepy out once. If Meepy had stopped him, that attack could have gone very differently for M&M, even with that Jaeger kill on the board. But as you say, 1 last chance now for Secret to hold a defensive round. They are back into Aviator Games, and I suspect, just like before, this is going to come down largely to the way they play the batteries and Hibana charges on this front wall and the bar side of A.
Would you be worried about Secret if M&M does take this round?
I'm not sure I'd say I'd be worried, because while it is, you know, a semi-defensive sided, and his stats are leading that way at the moment, it's by no means an easy defense. I know that feels weird to say it, but like, it's comes down to having the right strategies and playing them right. The strategies aren't groundbreaking, they aren't crazy, but playing them right does require a lot of practice and does require a lot of teamwork, and if M&M don't have that, Secret will be able to pick them apart. When you're looking at evenly matched teams with even amounts of practice and even amount of ideas, then yes, the map is leaning one way, but there could still be enough of a divide between these 2 teams in terms of skill, practice and strategy that even if M&M have the right idea, Secret could still pick up enough attack rounds to wage it out. Or, you know, the other way around too. It could be that M&M are that good at defense on this map that they will just five over half if when we get around to it. So 3-3 is not a write-off either way, but it's definitely not the half that Secret want.
Well, we've had some time killed here in the action phase already, and we saw a whole bunch of the M&M players gathering ground near ruin side of the villa. Did you notice, by the way, that this building, how big it is and how many rooms it has, only has one bathroom? Do you not feel that that's, I don't know, like, almost not a hazard, but you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, they could cause some problems if you're in the wrong. Especially if you're in the bar drinking, and you know, a little bit too much. And
you've got to go quite far.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, it's just very weird to be able to hold so many people in the house. I mean, all right, it's besides the point. Let's get back into the game. We have Stiz here behind the bar at the moment, looking over Classical Way. He is going to peek out a little and find Funk, because Funk has been devastating towards Team Secret in the last couple of rounds. And that's a little bit of good news that Team Secret needed at this stage of the half. Stiz, though, does he want to brave it one more time? I think he's been a little aggressive already. It doesn't need to do it again, but Doki is going to find Plebma. There is looking to be another repeat. This isn't necessarily the discipline I was expecting.
He's lucky to live there.
So close, and he's trying to move away, making sure there's no crossfire angles anywhere else. He's generally quite safe, but even going with this SMG-11 and going for those aim duels, you're going to be pretty bang on the money with that first shot.
He might lose his life. It's a very tight angle, Doki picking his way through. Oh, he does, I don't know if he knows this, but he does manage to get it down. He's confident he does. He smokes it to make sure, and he will, of course, finish that off. Oh, it didn't go off!
What? Did it get shot down?
I don't know where that smoke grenade went, but it didn't trigger, and then he loses his life on the repeat. Meepy will trade Citizen out on the other side at the same point, but it's still now 2v3. Lems takes a quick fight towards the door, and Doki doesn't actually go down from that, but he's very low. Meepy will trade out Nello, but Doki got inside and will trade Lems down before the impact nade from Meepy puts him out. 1v1 now. Meepy knows exactly where Kendrew is, but Kendrew, remember, has to plant. He's inside the pre-fire. Meepy strafes it across Kendrew's head, and by the skin on his teeth, manages to get Secret a 4-2 half.
That was almost very, very different, especially when we saw Stiz on the classic hallway. There was a nightmare over there for him. You thought that was a blessing for M&M and that they could go all the way with it, but rescued from the brink of defeat. They are going to get that 4-2 first half victory, but there's still work to do. If we're going to, again, play by those numbers, M&M should be favored now to pick up quite a few rounds, but you know, you've still got Team Secret standing before you.
I think the scoreline to the teams shows how important the cohesion is needed on this map. Plebma is by no means a bad player. Plebma is a good player and has put out some big weeks for Secret here before. But here, on this map, he's 1-5 right now. He's not going great for him. He's playing utility player. He played Maestro in most spots and put his cameras where needed, and you know that helps, so he's an asset. But he's not bringing in the big kills. He's not making the big plays that he was previously. Whereas the rest of the Secret team are rocking those big numbers. Leon's up at 10. We've got 8 on, I think it's Meepy as well. Like some big numbers coming out for them. Because they understand each other, they know these ideas, they've got these strategies in mind, and it works for them because they've practiced it. That's where I think M&M could potentially fall here, despite having the arguably favourable off. Because they are newer in their roster. Not only is Kendrew new this week, Doki is still fairly new to the M&M roster as well. Yep. How much time have they managed to put in to this map with that full 5 compared to Secret? Even with a only 4-man, say half-strength push, is that enough for Secret to overthrow this M&M hold?
Well, now time to show their value as we do move into the action phase here in the second half. M&M and Secret really in the heat of things. And we do have the statuary and trophy hole to start with, not going over AVG as Secret started beforehand. But we do see the glass coming out, and we only got a glimpse at it 6 picked away from last time. As Meepy does want to actually operate that operator, to put it.
Doki holding aggressively here in the office. They do know he's there. He's been drone a couple of times. He's pre-firing this doorway a couple of times. Oh, he does peek straight into Lem's eyes there and takes a lot of damage for his trouble. He soaked up that flashbang, peeked straight into it, but then has to fall a long way back straight as a result. But they don't push in too aggressively. Secret aware that Doki would not have been alone, and they are right for doing so, as Fonkers peeks out from the other side, trying to capitalize on what he thinks is an aggressive push from them, but it was not, and they were already waiting for him to take him off the board as well. Doki just got down, so I believe he's being reset by his team back at the base. He is, so he's back up to 50% health, and is now in the game to try and help hold off this secret push, which is coming oddly slowly.
It is. There's still time left for them to play with. No one peeking that classical way anymore. They had such an aggressive defensive lineup before. And, you know, Bonkers, given how he's been playing already, he could open up anything. But on this occasion, it's no love. Leon Gibbs is going to take down Citizen, another high fragger of M&M being eliminated. And in this early defensive round, you want to get straight back into things. You don't want to allow Team Secret to be getting closer and closer to that match point and match victory. There's Kendrew, Doki, Nilo. They have work to do at the moment, and it's just over 60 seconds left where Secret are breaking their way in. There's barbed wire. Remove saturate. There's the smoke going down. They can see everything that they need to. Doki does manage to trade out one, but this is Glazin. Really his favorite environment. Leon Gears takes down another. Kendrew, you've got your back up against the wall, mate. What can you pull out for us? Not enough. LMs is going to get the round down. And it just felt like as soon as Glaz moved into Statuary that everything became so difficult. I mean, it was already difficult.
As soon as that smoke grenade goes in, it's like, ah, great. Glaz is going to come in behind this, and he doesn't even have to like walk in and peek in the door, because if he just peeked in through the door through the smoke, it's an easy pre-fire for Jaeger through that hole. But because he sprinted in and survived the sprint, but survived it, he's now lost in that smoke. He could be anywhere within there, and he can see through you clear as day. He does pick up that kill. Spots the other man jumping out of the site, which is a smart play. It's like, all right, there's no way I'm winning this fight against Glaz in here. He's in the smoke. I don't know. Jump out over the balcony, but he got spotted on his way, and that meant Leon was there ready, waiting for his inevitable flank back up the staircase, and cut him to pieces on his way through.
Well, we're here in round 8. Team Secret 2 rounds away from victory. They could have themselves a pretty slick run so far in the Premiership, with a scoreline heading this direction. However, M&M still work to do. They want to stay over there, actually, at Trophy and Statuary.
Yeah, to be fair, the hold was not too bad, but it just needed to be a little bit more aggressive, I feel. To be fair, it was a little bit unlucky to have not killed Glaz when he did. More aggressive in terms of Doki on Jaeger in the site. He was holding behind the wall, couldn't see the doorway, wasn't looking at the door. He was waiting for the call if they're inside to then peek out after the fact and join the fight. He was letting and relying on the man inside to be able to take the attention first so that he could peek secondly. Instead, he had a better angle on the door. If he'd have been holding that more aggressively, he'd have been spraying on that. When they edged their way in to punch the barbed wire, when they threw their first smoke grenade, he'd have to hold them off for a bit longer, and then that second guy could have joined in to help him out. Instead, they were free to destroy that barbed wire, free to push up, free to get into a position ready to burst into the room without any challenge. Giving them that much free movement is something that M&M can't really afford to do.
Bonkers might find Leon relatively soon over that main stairway. He did have him positioned over this side before, and that's actually when they got eliminated fairly early in the round by Secret, and there we go. Some contact being made into Veranda, being spammed by Doki. Does spot there's a player there on the windowsill, and it's just going to back away a little bit. I wonder actually where Funkers may have gone to, whether he's backed up elsewhere. Yeah, he's gone down classical way, doesn't want to go over there, doesn't want to risk losing his life early on, especially when Doki's not able to support him completely. They're going to look to just bring that fight closer to the site and just give up that position for the time being.
I'd like to see someone from the site, probably Kendrew, because you know they're pushing, but they knew it again. They know they sat someone on this balcony here looking through the office window for the start of these rounds while Doki was holding them. Just peek here from the master bedroom. It's not a new peek, it's not an uncommon peek. I didn't see anyone sitting there holding it from Secret, and even if they were, just a quick peek, quick smash of the glass, quick spray of the bullets. You don't have to kill the guy, but again, you give them something else to be scared of. As it was, they didn't, and so they quickly found out that Doki had run away from his room and that Fonkers ran away from his, and they managed to get in and push aggressively. And down in classical hallway, in 90 here, Fonkers fell down once again to that push from Secret, and once more they're now 4 against 5. A little bit less health on Secret this time through, but otherwise everything's looking very similar to before.
There we go, though.
I spoke too soon.
Bit of good news, though, at last for M&M. Citizen's going to be opening up. Citizens, I've been honestly praising this guy so much lately. He's been so impactful. All of a sudden, oh, Meepy. Thought of his teammate getting in the way, it might spoil the opportunity, but still lands the headshot onto Nilo. And Glaz again being very, very impactful for Team Secret. Are they going to be setting up again with those smokes soon?
Should be. These flashbangs are going in to make sure there's no trophy systems there to catch them. Smoke should be going quickly afterwards. And once again, Doki playing very passively. He's waiting for them to come in before he even reveals himself. They have a suspicion there's someone that way, but they don't know for sure. That, however, works for him this time as he peeks out aggressively, takes down Meepy. Steez will take him down, but was in a Legion mine at the same time, so will fall down swiftly afterwards. But Ems swicks in, picks up the diffuser, and revives his teammate. C4 from below will not land in the right spot. And now they know there's only one man up here on site. He is the Maestro, and he is using his traps. Oh, Kendrew nicely done, but LM takes Citizen down. 1v1, not a lot of health here on LM, but a full health on Kendrew, and he's got the Maestro cameras to see everything that's going on. The diffuser plant is going on in. He switches back to his camera to try and figure out where he is, but he can't quite get an angle on it, so the diffuser will complete. Nicely done by LMs, but if he repositions to the wrong spot, only a couple of zaps will be enough to take him down. Kendrew is off his cameras, using them purely for information and waiting for his team to feed it across. Edges into the trophy room, looks in the corner. I think he saw the knee there. He did. He got an idea. And he takes a lot of damage, but LM's was already not full health. And checks for the Claymore just before peeking into the room and gets the easy defuse.
No drama Claymore right at the end. And nicely rescued there from Kendrew. Solidly played. Didn't try to overplay it by just rushing someone who's putting that diffuser down and hoping that, you know, the no fake. It wasn't quite that close at the end of the round. But we do see signs of hope from M&M. They're on 3, Secret on 5, I believe. And now they can actually go to a different side, presumably Aviator and Games. It looks like behind that's what we're seeing. Meepy and Leon firing on all cylinders. We got a pretty balanced, actually, team of kills going on from M&M side. Everyone really stepping up at the moment. No stars shining though.
That's what you like to see, to be honest. You don't need to have one player stepping up and fire above the red. There are some teams where that is their strategy. They just do everything around setting up that one person to get kills because they're that confident in their gun skill, but it's not the most reliable strategy either. So nice to have everyone that can do their part and evenly spread the load, and that's looking very nice for them there. They just need to get the rounds to also count up a little bit higher.
So we do have Citizen on the Ella on this occasion. Kendrew sticking Maestro. Of course, they're always on the smoke, it seems. And Doki wonder if we're going to play a little bit more of aggressive. And we were seeing Leon playing on that Jaeger. Was quite a lot of that roaming going down, and it's sort of holding around library, around the sort of near red stairs, that kind of hallway. I wonder if Loki can be kind of unpredictable as well in his movement to throw off those attacks.
10 seconds left.
We'll shortly approach though this action phase. They did finally shut down Meepy in the last round, but I feel like he's done so much damage to M&M with the Glaz. Do you think there's something that you'd reflect upon with it? Oh, maybe we should have banned out the Glaz instead of the Jackal?
The previous attack rounds here, right, where Secret were pushing into office and chasing down Bonkers and Doki, a lot of that would have been sped up if they had Jackal instead of Glaz. Glaz has been terrifying, Glaz has done a lot of work, but if they had the extra time, thanks to tracking footprints and seeing where these Romans have run off to and not having to drone them, they'd have not necessarily needed the devastating power of Glaz, because they could have just taken their time and done it slower with a more normal weapon. There's a lot of, maybes and ifs and buts if they'd abandoned it instead. I don't think banning Glaz would have been a particularly bad idea over Jackal. Glaz is banned on a lot of maps by a lot of teams, no matter what. For that reason, he is fantastic. But ultimately, I don't think he's been that pivotal in this particular game so far.
Okay. Well, Doki's actually holding up classical hallway at the moment. He's not spreading too far and wide right now. But we're at the sort of trophy room here with Plebman. Leon going to start moving over to the other side of the map. Some spams for Plebman to watch out for. Does go for a little bit of a pre-fire. But no danger just yet. Here's the drone in as well, so possibly can push further. Leon also is going to get some angles on there. That part of the map is about to be a nightmare to stand in if you are on the side of M&M.
This is exactly what I was asking to see from Wind and Rain in the previous round, right? They had that drone running through the corridor, and then they had Thatcher right behind it. And once they figured out there were players in this corner, they sent Leon around to the other side. Then the drone went forward. So if any of those players stopped to shoot the drone, they would then be exposed to these people. And as it is, they're not, because they needed to. Smartly, they ran away, they turned and left. But it does mean they get control of these areas without losing the drone, without giving up players, and very quickly.
Oh, there's a lot of information right there. Evil Eyes just saw 4 players. They have so much, but can they work with anything from that? Citizen has been lost, and really only Leon is the low HP player on Secret. Again, what is that Evil Eye going to be able to do for them? Leon going to get rid of another camera, putting on his natural habitat here in main entrance, and maybe look to, well, not necessarily flank, but at least open up the prongs on this attack. VP's now going to stare into bar. It looks like there is a player on the side of Study. He doesn't have a clue. He's going to pull the goo out. There's the punish is eventually going to be able to come out. That is Nilo working that one. Now a 4 versus 3. Solid position from him. Maybe slightly negligent from Secret before on the side of Study, but look at what Stiz has just done. Kendrew manages to come back in the end, but eventually this is going to come down to the wire. Nilo walks around and Ems is just going to pick up an easy frag at the end. There was a brief moment in time there where it looked absolutely solid for M&M, but Secret have all grounds covered.
Yeah, the wait from Nilo, I liked it. He waited for Ash comes in, she steps on the trap, goes to pull it out of her leg. He doesn't kill her straight away. He waits just a couple of extra seconds if there was someone else behind her, because they obviously didn't know she was there. Ash came in not paying any attention. There was no one behind. All right, kill her, pay attention. But meanwhile, the rest of his team were just being cut to pieces. Steve's picking up 2 very quick kills as he moved into side, or I think looked through the prone hole they made in the vault sort of thing. And Secret have shown that aviator hold, you can get into there from the other side. You don't need to get through from that office. It just takes a well-coordinated push to get control of that classical hallway, get control of that 90 hallway. And yeah, they did that in a masterclass, as I say, with the Thatcher, the Ash, and that single drone.
Oh, it looks like we've got Meepy moving away from Glaz, getting onto that Dockerby. And so for a brief moment of time, they'll be unaware.
We're about to see a very fast round.
Okay, I'm excited.
I honestly don't know why you'd switch away from Glaz onto Dokkaebi, considering how well that round just went and how strong Glaz was at doing it, pushing into some of those sites, especially pushing in through this 90 corridor, through the vault and stuff, with a smoke and a Glaz to make your way down there. Very, very strong. But Dokkaebi, you know, it allows you to just ring those phone calls and sprint at them. And when you're on match point and doing well, and considering how these players are in terms of like friendships and just personalities, wouldn't be too surprised to see them get semi-close, pop the Dokkaebi call and just sprint at them.
Do you think that we're looking at some very late round logic bomb plays though?
Yeah, they're not just going to go like start the round, ring it now, run.
Well,
that'll be answered.
I just answer my calls.
I expect they'll have like a minute or so. They'll like get into the site. They'll push the roamers back to as normal to the simple play. Like they'll get Fonkers out of here, same as before, same as normal. Yeah, feel like they can win this fight. Ooh, it's unlucky. It's close. But yeah, they can get Fonkers back inside. But once they are on the edges of the bomb site, it'll be more of a Fonkers on. It'll be more of a call and run.
Fonkers has been elementary to this success for M&M in their attacking halves, but he's just not really been able to hit the ground running on defense, as he's been one of the early picks fairly often. I'm sure he'll have plenty though to take away from this game after and on reflection. However, no need for reflecting just yet, because still in the midst of things, 2 minutes to go. Team Secret starting to edge closer to that Aviator Games room.
Calling out the Legion mines as they go. IQ taking some down herself, of course, because she can see them. Checking on Fonker's body. Minute 45 now, and they're close to the edge. They can get that wall open using the evac charges. Checking the cameras. That'll also help with the Maestro cameras, of course, now that they can get into there. We haven't used any logic bombs yet. So EMP's coming out right on the edge of the site to provide the information needed. Oh, that's not good. They're not going to be able to get through that.
There's a gas grenade there anyway. I wonder if actually they realize that he can't move through it. Because again, if M&M thinks they can and they didn't quite see exactly what part of the reinforcement it destroyed, that could be awkward. Leon though might get an aim duel in a second. He is going to get dropped by Doki. So there might be hope left in the round yet, considering how critical Leon is occasionally in all these rounds. You know, he's such a top-end fragger.
One of 2 logic bombs now. You just get a bit more information. The wall's opening up. Doki's going to peek out, and he wins the fight against Steez. This time, Steez not as dominant as he was before, but also it doesn't now matter that this hole is in the wall because that corridor has been cleaned. The rest of...
Did he spot the gun barrel there? It seems really...
Might well have. He's got an idea. The logic bomb goes out again. This is the last one. Citizen now underneath as well. Then they come to the room. The smoke grenade went off to block where they know Doki to be. They have the suspicion one's in the vault. And they've got an idea. And He pops out one way, takes down Plebma, looks to fight the next man, but there he is. LM's waiting for him. 2v2, but there's not a lot of health left on Meepy now. The other 2 players were downstairs. Meepy does peek aggressively into Doki and will find it, but with 15 seconds, they've got to get a plant down. They're looking for the predictable spots, but the cameras are everywhere, and they are pinging like wild. They have to get a plant down somewhere where Citizen can't shoot them through the floor. He's now used that time that they were positioned to come on up and above. No, they've changed their mind. They sent him back underneath. Can he find the ping? Not in time. The plant goes through. Now he's got to fight his way up against 2 players. Now, Meepy, as you said, doesn't have a lot of health. It'll sneeze to put him down, but 2 guns trained in your direction. Not a fun situation to be in. Citizen steps through the pre-fire of one of the vault. Oh, and it won't happen again. LM's finds him in the corridor.
A little bit of me there was thinking we're going to have a Citizen moment for a second, but it just was not to be right at the end of the day. Secret are going to be your victors versus Eminem. They take it 7-3. There were some definitely close plays there, but overall pretty well controlled by Team Secret.
Yeah, ultimately, as I say, Villa is a tough map to get to grips. It's also still a new map. If you look at how long it's taken teams to understand maps like Border, if you look at how long it's taken some of the DLC maps to really come into their own, Villa is still a very young map. For a team like Eminem that is still new, that is still learning, that is still understanding each other, to also go into a map like that, yeah, they may be better off than some of the squads, but they have still got a little way to go, and I think Secret just kind of showed that there in quite decisive fashion.
To be fair, there was quite a lot of rounds which were so close it could have gone either way anyway, more in favour of Secret with that veteran experience, especially on Villa as well. And with Eminem, you know, they didn't have the best of starts, of course, with Secret going 3-0 up on that first half on the defensive side, but there was signs of life, and maybe if they took it to 3-3, maybe things could shed up a little bit more different. But Secret, it shows the experience on this map just more in favours than them.
I think you said it there. If it was at 3-3, you know, different story at that point. It was so close that last round of the first half. You never know. If it changed up, maybe that's the extra momentum they need. Maybe that just gets Doki fired up a little bit more, you know, and can carry them through a couple more rounds.
This is it.
who knows? But also, we knew at the beginning, Team Secret are the favourites anyway. They're the experts. Despite them not having the best experience yet in Pro League, they've still, you know, been in Pro League. They've got so much experience from working with that. It's phenomenal. So still very well done to Eminem for putting up a great fight.
Yeah, this is just a flavour of what's to come anyway. We will see them play against each other again in a future week coming along.
I do fully expect to see that be a different story in another map.
Oh yeah, it wouldn't surprise me in the slides. With these 2 teams, it can be more about map picks, as you spoke before, but when you said with this map it's not played too often, and maybe Eminem maybe just a little bit inexperienced, but they did help them in a lot of those rounds. It's just the fact they couldn't really clutch up when it actually mattered. Very 50-50 in some of those situations, but nonetheless, they did a good job. No matter the circumstances, but it means Secret will take that grip. But we do have the results for this week to show exactly what happened throughout the matches. In our first match, we had Unnamed take on Vexed, and that went 7-4 in favour of Unnamed. In the second map, it was 4-1 to Epsilon, but sadly, Winding Rain did have to forfeit due to a technical difficulty. And that was the exact replica of match 3. Any differences, it didn't even start. So FlyLo did manage to take that 7-0 over Who Knows. And our match to watch, the match we really wanted to see throughout the whole week and the previous weeks, Secret managed to take Eminem down on Villa 7-3. Any, well, not differences, but in terms of the match you've seen, any surprises between the 2, not including that second one, in terms of score?
I would like to have wished that it's a surprise to see it not as close as it could have been on the last match, but with Kendrew just joining the lineup as well, I feel like I really hope they look at it as a positive experience. As for the rest, I'm definitely surprised by the first match outcome, to be honest, just because I we know that both teams are very good. I was just expecting Vexed to maybe put up more of a fight than they did.
Yeah, honestly, that second game, I feel like Kendrew being new sort of thing, being officially announced now, like it didn't feel like it was much of an issue. Like that wasn't really their thing for that game. It was very much for me. It was a map situation, and there was a few points where just everyone felt a little bit off their game for Imrims. Like there were gunfights that they should have been winning. Like specifically Leon baiting that down to Lem's player, getting the first guy down the stairs. Okay, you know it happens. Getting the second guy should never have happened. That should have been an easy kill for the Hibana coming down. Things like that where Eminem, yeah, you know, dust off the cobwebs, and that shouldn't happen. The rest of it is the map thing, and I feel like that would have been a much tighter game. Could have perhaps even taken it on a different map, on a different day of the week. So by no means writing off that as, you know, Secret are now going to coast through the rest of this season. I have to keep an eye on that next time they come around. And as you say, Unnamed and Vexed, not crazy shocking or surprising, but it's another one where if they weren't playing Consulate, I could see that again going very differently. Both of those teams' play styles don't suit Consulate as well as it does perhaps some of the other maps, and yeah, hopefully next time we watch those two face, again, that'll be on another different map, and
yeah,
very exciting.
No, definitely. I look forward to seeing them play again on a different map and see what the outcome is, if it's very similar or if it goes more in Eminem's favour. We'll have to wait and see. But we do have the group standings, starting off with Group A. We said there's going to be some major changes, and there has been. Team Secret finally on the top of the board in that first position, with 3 wins, no losses. Eminem with their first loss of the season do drop down, but they will be in second spot, which is safe to say. FlyLo, due to the default win over Who Knows, will be taking that third place spot. So when they do meet each other again, hopefully it won't be a default win. We'll have to see what the outcome is on that in the future week. Off to the Group B standings now. Again, a lot of changes. Epsilon now on top of the board with 6 points there. Unnamed and Wind and Rain on the same, but just edging by that 1 round difference. And Vexed, very surprisingly, at the bottom of the board. But this is the great thing about this Group B, is the fact that it's becoming more and more unpredictable, and the placement changes are happening consistently every single week. And how do you guys think of the group standings so far?
Exactly what you say. Like Group A now is looking exactly what I think everyone expected to be. Yes, as I say, today's result between Eminem and Secret could have gone either way. A different map could have done differently, but no one's going to be surprised to see that 9-6-3-0 point layout. Group, sorry, the 3-0, you know, the default win kind of method. But either way, that could have gone either way. No predicting. That's not a surprise. But as you say, Group B, that is still all to play for. Those point differences are minuscule, and the results on those can, again, switch and change back and forth quite heavily in these later weeks. So looking at that through 10, it's like there's no predicting the finish points for those teams from those standings.
And last word from you, Zoot, from what you've seen from the group so far, or maybe just from the matches this week.
No, I mean, it's been an absolute pleasure watching these games. I feel bad.
Always a pleasure.
I feel bad for Who Knows. I saw Ghost was pretty upset, obviously demoralized on Twitter on the Who Knows roster. And I was like, no, man, I know rubbish stuff happens. It's got to be chin up. You've got to go on the grind and go on next. And I really hope that they can stick together and still fight on. Find some hope that, you know, there's some games that they can win. Anything can happen still. Crazy things happen, you know, not just in Siege, but in esports in general, and you can get some victories, and you can really put in your study, and you can get some results out of it.
Oh, we've seen some weird things in the past, and with those two teams, even if they beat each other, it's always going to be on round difference, but that 7-0 from that forfeit is going to hinder. It is savage. It's going to hinder them so much. I hope it doesn't demoralize them too much, but we'll see in the future weeks to come, depending on the circumstances when they both play Eminem and Team Secret. But that's what we've got time for this week. Thank you everyone for watching, and if anyone wants to see any of the VODs from not just this week, from previous weeks as well, just go on YouTube, esl.im/PremVods, and you can see all the VODs, not from this week, but like I said before, last week and the previous weeks before. Thank you for everyone for watching. Thank you to our sponsors, Intel and PaySafeCard, and we'll see you next week for more Siege Time action.
Attacker's bomb diffuser has been dropped. Attackers are activating the bomb diffuser. Attackers have located a bomb. Approaching a kill zone. Been located. Activate. 15 seconds to go.
Think she can't get a last-second clutch? Watch this. Think he can't carry his team while streaming in high resolution? All the while recording a once-in-a-lifetime win? Watch this. Think leveling up only happens in-game? Watch this. On Intel Core i7, they'll rise to every challenge. Now it's your turn. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7.
You ready? Huh? Hey, he's a good boy, huh? You ready? Huh?
Start your esports career now at play.eslgaming.com.